Well, hello, guys. I am really sorry to be a little bit late, just a smidge late. And I'm going to tell you why I was late in a second. I think it was for a good reason. Some of you might not think it was for a good reason, but I think it was a good reason. But guys, welcome to the stream. We're going to be doing another live investigation stream today, simply because I am in a school investigation kind of mood. Now, don't worry, we're not going to be going back to the Cambridge public schools today because not that there's not more to look at there. In fact, just this morning, I found a whole additional treasure trove of documents for the public schools in Cambridge, Massachusetts. But because also today on my Substack, carlin.substack.com, I did publish this article about a teacher trainer in Cambridge, Massachusetts public schools believing that we should abolish capitalism and whiteness. But this article is not just about this one teacher trainer that we've been looking at. Is also about the general equity programs in the Cambridge public schools. We just used her as kind of a lead-in. They have anti-bias training, they have anti-racism training, they have intersectionality training, they have gender training, they have all sorts of trainings in the Cambridge public school districts. In fact, just today I did a FOIA request over to them, so we should be getting their training materials for these trainings, which I'm really looking forward to. That's going to be pretty great. I also have a general timeline and resources that parents with kids in the Cambridge, Massachusetts school district should know about, including that they pretty much been doing equity since like 2017. They actually got involved a little bit late in the game. They started this educator leaders for equity thing that they ran a lot of their teachers through. One of their teachers that went through that program actually taught a class in social justice and advocacy this past summer in the Cambridge public schools. They've got anti-racism statements, they've got mission statements, they've got vision statements, they've got a fully blown equity staff, including someone in charge of integrating equity into the curriculum. They got all sorts of stuff going on in Cambridge, Massachusetts, including, yes, they're even teaching anti-racist math in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So that is my initial article that you guys can all check out. And you guys saw this research going on live in action. I did the last two streams I did about it, both on Saturday and then Monday, maybe Monday. Yeah, I think we did that Monday. Oh, Monday and yesterday, because we also watched another stream with Dina yesterday. So all of that was kind of leading up to me doing this article. So you guys can see how much research it sometimes takes to be able to craft a single article like this, because I really do have to go in and look at everything. I have to look at all their documents. I have to go through rabbit holes on their websites. And there are so many rabbit holes that we didn't even go through on these websites. Again, I could probably spend a month on Cambridge, Massachusetts alone, and I'm looking forward to doing more with them once I get the documents that I FOIA'd this morning. And so we're going to find out more there, but there really is a lot to it. And I hope you guys check out the article. I hope you enjoy it. Again, this is over on my Substack, Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com, just published this morning. But that's not why I was late. I was late because I was writing a second article on my Substack. Not really an article, more like a tongue lashing. Because I was alerted to the fact that consummate grifter Ian Miles Chung was making fun of a t-shirt that I'm offering to my supporters on Patreon who are giving $25 a month to support these efforts, to support the journalism that people like Ian Miles Chung refuse to do. 3 days worth of effing journalism just looking into that, not even writing the damn article. That was like 4 straight days just on the Cambridge schools to be able to write one article, stuff that Ian Miles Chung refuses to do because he's too busy making fun of me for selling a t-shirt. Not even selling a t-shirt. For giving a t-shirt to the people who are financially supporting this work. And who retweeted this? Matt fucking Walsh. Because of course he did. Because Matt Walsh, on numerous occasions now, has chosen to attack me instead of actually doing the journalism that I'm doing fucking for them. Don't worry, Matt Walsh will steal my journalism at some point. Matt Walsh already stole my cameras and classrooms idea and claimed it was his after I got 2 million views on it on Twitter, and then mysteriously 2 weeks later, he showed up on Tucker Carlson with all my talking points. But no, he has all the time in the world to retweet grifters like Ian Miles Chung who are making fun of the fact that I'm giving a t-shirt to my supporters, Well, I'm spending all my time not only doing the journalism that Matt Walsh refuses to do and that Ian Miles Chung refuses to do because God knows they don't do any of their own work themselves. Well, I'm spending the time doing that. Well, I'm spending the time developing a program to teach parents how to do exactly what we're going to do on this stream today. I'm developing a program to teach parents how to do this, which will hopefully put shills like Matt Walsh out of business. Because the strength that Matt Walsh has right now is that parents don't know how to find this information. They rely on people like him to tell them what's going on. What a lot of people don't know, though, is that Matt Walsh steals his journalism from people that are far smarter, far more motivated, far more in tune with what's actually going on in the real world. He steals their journalism later, claims that it's his, and then goes on to attack them on Twitter for daring to act to sell a $25 to give people who are donating $25 a month a t-shirt. Those are your conservative influencers, folks. Never, ever, 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 ever trust a conservative man to do a libertarian woman's job. They will leave you disappointed every single time. But that's not what we're going to talk about today, because what we're going to do today is an investigation into the Rochester, New York school district. Now, I quite literally have no idea what we're going to find here. I have not looked at this at all. I have not even looked around their websites. Sometimes when I do streams like this, I just do a quick double check just to make sure there's there, and I might do a couple quick searches. I might poke around a little bit just to make sure I'm not wasting anyone's time here today. I haven't done that with Rochester because I was too busy writing an article flaming Matt Walsh. So we're going to discover Rochester, New York together. But I actually feel pretty confident that we're going to find stuff because Rochester, New York is like uber, 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 uber woke. So what we're going to do is we're just going to troll around Rochester, New York School District's website, and we're going to see what we find. We're going to see what they're doing for equity. We're going to see what they're doing for anti-racism. We're going to see if they have any anti-racism summer camps. We're going to see maybe even what's on their social media. I truly have no idea what we're going to find. Oh, look, student activities. Okay, maybe we're going to look at their student clubs. Maybe they have a GSA, a Gender and Sexuality Alliance, which used to be a gay straight alliance, but now it's been changed to a Gender Sexuality Alliance. And we're just going to take a look and see what's going on and see what we come up with. This is always what we want to do when we're just starting to look into a school district, is just to get a good, nice overview. And I find that it's more fun to do this on a stream where I have company, and some of you guys like doing digging as well. And then we can do what we want to do with it. We spent a couple days looking into the schools in Cambridge, Massachusetts, barely scratched the surface of the things that are going on in Cambridge, but we've already got an article about it. Parents are already sharing it. I know for a fact that this article is in front of parents with kids in the Cambridge, Massachusetts school district, because they're already messaging me and telling me they appreciate the work I'm doing. Matt Walsh might not appreciate the work I'm doing with spending days of my life looking into these school districts so he can steal my journalism later. He might not appreciate the work I'm doing, but I know the parents appreciate the work I'm doing. And that's really why I'm doing it anyway. Not for the shills, not for the grifters, not for the people who make their money and maintain their status by exploiting the problems in the public schools for their own gain. I do this because I actually want to solve the effing problem. And the way we solve the problem is by empowering parents to do this type of work themselves and to get this information and to go in and to actually change what's going on in the schools. And for those who got this email earlier, I just got an email from Lori who's correcting my typo. Yes, that did say PEAK, peak, the wrong type of peak in the headline earlier. Don't worry, I updated it. I never claimed to be a copy editor on these things, okay? I never claimed to be a copy editor. I'm probably the worst copy editor in the world, but I am a really good researcher and I am a good digger. And I know how to find and catch these people right in the act. And I do it so well that I am working on a program to teach parents how to do this themselves. Now, we're going to go really, really quickly through the Rochester, New York website. We're going to go quickly. And so I'm not going to break down everything I'm doing. I'm not going to explain why I'm doing everything I'm doing. But in the Schools Exposed program that I'm currently developing right now, I will break it all down. I will explain to you all the language that they're using. I will explain to you where you need to look to find out what the public schools are teaching your kids. I will make sure you have it all broken down really, really simply and easily so that you can go and do these investigations that I'm doing without needing someone like me or my Unwoke army to go and do it for you. And I really think that this is the key to the kingdom. The more parents that we can empower with this information to keep their school districts in check so that they know that they can go on their school's website, find out what's going on in the school. If they can't find it on their school's website, they know how to FOIA information, do public records requests to be able to get at what's going on in their schools. And they're going to be around a community of parents that help them do it. I am committed to putting 10,000 parents at least through this program. And I want to thank everyone who donated money in the first week that I launched this Indiegogo campaign. We have already hit our funding goal. I needed $10,000 to be able to spend time developing this program and to create and to get the technology to support rolling it out to 10,000 parents. And you guys came through. You guys came through and we funded this in 4 days. I set the campaign for 60 days. You guys funded it in 4. And now everything on top of this is gravy. Everything, every donation that we get on top of it is going to help market the program. It's going to help make the program better. And it's going to, frankly, show people exactly how much something like this is needed. Now, I want to let you guys know something. I'm fairly certain that Indiegogo has now shadow banned this campaign. We got away with the first 4 days. This campaign was featured on the homepage. We were like in the #1 position on the homepage. We were featured in like 3 different sections of it on Indiegogo. I'm fairly certain that Indiegogo has now shadow banned this campaign, which I kind of knew was coming, but I don't really care. They didn't cancel it. The campaign is still live. You can still give money to it. I'm going to sue their asses if they try to cancel it. But they did shadow ban it. So what I need everyone to do is this. I need people to share this information and this program with their friends, with their family, with parents who might be interested in doing this sorts of thing. Not because this is going to be the very best time to sign up for a program like this, because you're going to be able to get it at like the cheapest price point that I can possibly get it to people, which is if you donate $50 to this campaign, you can see it right here. Not only will you be one of the very first people to get access to this program, you're also going to get it at 50% off because I'm going to sell it for $99 for a lifetime subscription. As soon as it's up, that lifetime subscription goes towards maintaining the technology. It goes towards scaling the technology. It also goes towards my time because I'm going to do monthly live classes, stuff like that. But if you want to get it for $50 now, that's like 50% off what it's going to be when it launches. There are only 50 slots available for that. And you can, yes, Mike, you do have a defeatist attitude. Guys, I'm going to be very honest. I will block anyone, and I mean fucking anyone, Phil, who says anything about this campaign being canceled. I will block anyone who brings a defeatist attitude into this. I am sick and tired of the defeatist attitudes of conservatives. I got this campaign crowdfunded in 4 days. If this gets canceled, then I have a backup plan and I have all the email addresses of all the people who have funded it. So we will be able to fund it again. And then, well, we won't need to fund it again after that because my next backup plan is the last backup plan. But we will be able to get this funded even if they cancel it. But I am so sick and tired of you guys saying this is going to get canceled, this is going to get canceled, this is going to get canceled. It's a bad fucking attitude. I don't want it around. And the next person that says anything like that is going to get blocked because I don't need that coming into my space. We're going to have a positive fucking attitude about all of this. And a positive attitude would be what would actually be helpful, Mike, is if you could get someone to sign up for this $50 like membership in the program. Go and get parents to sign up for this. Get them into it. Make sure they have access to the information they need. Instead of whining and complaining on Facebook or on YouTube or any other place or like shilling like Matt fucking Walsh on Twitter, do something productive. Do something productive. Do something to help people actually fight back. The reason that the right loses and loses and loses and then loses again is because they bring defeatist attitudes, they whine all the fucking time, and they attack people who are actually out helping parents and people in the real world. I've had it. I have had it. No more. So, if you are ready to actually do something about this, you can get into this program for $50. If you want to donate $90, you get a space for yourself and you create a scholarship for someone else. There's some other perks on there as well. And I will break down for you exactly what you need to do in order to use publicly available information to find out exactly what the schools are teaching your kids. I will break it down succinctly. We will have asynchronous video, which means on demand video. We will also have monthly live sessions so you can come in and we can actually troubleshoot your problems or even do live investigations of your schools. We will create parent groups by state. So I'm committed to getting 10,000 parents through this program. That is 200 parents per state. I'm going to create parent groups so people can connect with each other, learn from each other, help one another, support one another, things like that. It's going to be awesome. It's getting funded one way or the other. And I don't want to hear any more negative attitudes. No more. Done. That's it. All right. Now, if you insist on maintaining a negative attitude in your head, though of course not saying it out loud to demoralize everyone else around you, another thing you can do if you don't feel like supporting the Indiegogo campaign because you've just convinced yourself that it's going to get canceled, even though there is actually no evidence of that and it's something that you made up in your effing head. But if you are not ready to move on from that fantasy that you created, another way you can support my work is, of course, by getting on Patreon and maybe even giving $25 a month so that you can get this amazing t-shirt that Matt Walsh and Ian Miles Chung don't want you to have. For some reason, I don't know why Matt Walsh and Ian Miles Chung care about t-shirts that I'm giving away to Patreon supporters. After all, Matt Walsh was the one who put What is a Woman behind a paywall instead of actually getting that movie in front of people who wouldn't pay Matt Walsh to see it so that maybe he could, change minds, influence people. Things like that. Matt Walsh insisted on putting all his shit behind a paywall. I didn't put this t-shirt behind a paywall. This t-shirt is but an extra perk. If you donate money, you get a prize. That's what it is. If you don't want the t-shirt, you don't have to donate the money. It's really that simple. But I don't put my stuff, unlike Matt fucking Walsh, I don't put my shit behind a paywall. If you don't want to pay $50 right now, $99 when it launches, to get into my private training program, guess what? You can watch a video just like this. Because in this stream today, just like in the last 3 streams I did, I'm going to show you exactly how you can investigate the schools. If you want to just take what I'm doing in these live streams, which are out there for free, Matt, if you want to just take what I'm doing in these live streams and do like a monkey see, monkey do, I'm not calling anyone a monkey, but you can literally just take what I'm doing and apply it yourself without me breaking it down for you, without me making it easy, without me walking you through it step by step. If you want to just copy what I'm doing in these videos, guess what? You can probably find out a lot of information about your schools right now for free. You don't have to wait for the program to be developed. But to be quite frank, the program's going to help a lot of people because a lot of people aren't nerds like people who are a lot of them aren't nerds like people who watch these streams, okay? And a lot of parents do actually need it broken down for them, which is why I'm creating this program. But if you just want to watch today's stream, man, you can learn a lot. We're going to have some fun. So you can support my work on Patreon if you want to. You can also support my work on Locals by becoming a supporter there, $5 a month, $50 a year. You can also even support my work by becoming a paying member on one of my Substacks, including this one. Just click that, where's the subscribe? Just click that subscribe button and you can sign up as a paying supporter. Again, $5 a month, $50 a year. There are all sorts of benefits for supporters on all the platforms that I'm not going to go into right now because it's time to start digging into the Rochester, New York schools. Actually, wait. No, it's not time for that yet. Hang on. You aren't seeing the window I want you to see. So I want you to see this window right here. It's not actually time for that yet. You know what the time is first? First, it's time for beer. Yes, it's Wednesday. I know. Usually I don't do beer until Friday, but I did get an Elysium pumpkin variety pack yesterday at the beer store, and I want to try some Elysium pumpkin beer. Do you guys mind if I show you the pumpkin beer that I have before we get started on the Rochester schools? And Phil, no shade at you. You know I love you. Just no more Debbie Downer. That's all I'm asking. All right, here are the beers that I got from Elysium that were in their variety pack. We've got Night Owl Pumpkin Ale, And this is our original pumpkin ale, brewed with pumpkin, roasted and raw pumpkin seeds, and spiced in conditioning with nutmeg, clove, cinnamon, ginger, and allspice. So we got an owl. We have a Dark of the Moon pumpkin stout, which are always really great. We have the Elysium Great Pumpkin Imperial Pumpkin Ale, which means that it's higher alcohol content than normal. And we have the Elysium Punkachino, which is a coffee pumpkin ale. Now, I haven't had Elysium Pumpkin in, I think the last time was like 2018. I want to say it was the last time I was in Seattle. The last time I had Elysium beer in general was actually before they sold out to Budweiser. And so I really have no idea what to expect with this beer, but I wanted to try it because I love pumpkin beer. I don't think I'm going to drink all 4 of them today. Don't get it twisted. I'm just having a beverage because it's after 5 o'clock, so it's happy hour. All right, let me go. I'm going to start with the night owl because I like the owl. Owls are so fun. Cheers to all of you. Fuck you very much, Matt Walsh. Oh man, that's good. That's good. I love drinking beer out of a bottle. I hate how most beer is in cans now. All right, guys, let's do it. Mount that like button if you're ready to do some investigating. And again, I'm going to put my ticker on the bottom just in case you want to donate to my Indiegogo campaign. Every donation really pisses off Matt Walsh because every donation to my Indiegogo campaign is basically going to put Matt Walsh out of business because Matt Walsh makes his money talking about this stuff. I want to solve problems. I actually want to fucking solve problems. And every donation is like Matt Walsh out of survive if they don't have problems that they can exploit. All right, let's get into it now. The very first thing that I always do when I'm investigating a school district is and this is okay. I want to talk about search functionality for a second. So, websites almost always will have search functionality where you can search for any term on the website. Now, did the audio go out? Am I back? All right. I think the internet went for a second. All right. So, websites will almost always have search functionality that you can just go in and type in something like equity or anti-racism, which is exactly what we're going to do in a second. But I want to warn everyone because some people, some queens from England, who we know is watching today, you can take lessons on a crowdfunding campaign, queen. Some people complain. They say, well, there are, search functionality on website may not turn up everything because people can eliminate things from a search functionality on their website, so it might not turn up everything. That's very true. The search functionality, and by the way, if anyone has complaints about how I'm investigating schools, instead of complaining on Twitter like the cowards that you are, why not get in the game and come forward and help build a better program to help parents investigate? I'm just saying, instead of complaining and whining on Twitter, Callie doesn't do the things I want her to do, me. Instead of complaining on Twitter, why don't you get off your asses and actually do something about it and create your own fucking program to teach parents how to do this? I'm just saying, it's an option, guys, but search functionality is not ideal. It is not ideal. However, it is a really quick way to assess what is going on and to actually start getting at the information that we want. So in the very beginning of an investigation into a school district, you want to basically just open yourself up to whatever information you're going to find on this website, because you're going to end up going down a lot of rabbit holes. The easiest way to start off an investigation is to go to the search functionality and type in equity, because equity is the term that a lot of them are using. Bing! Let's see what we find. Look at that. Look at that. Racial equity advocacy leadership. The real team. I am shocked that such information would exist on a school website. So Is this an ideal way to do it? No, it's not. Is this going to get you at every piece of information that you need to know? No, it's not. But you know what it will do? It is a good entry point. It's a good entry point so that you're not wandering around looking in the academic areas, looking in the department areas. We don't even know what the equity office is called in Rochester, New York, because the thing of it is that schools are going to name these offices all sorts of different things. They might be the diversity, equity, and inclusion office. They might have something to do with social justice. They might have to do with anti-racism. They might have to do with belonging. They call these offices all different things. We don't even know what the office is called yet. So this is going to be a good jumping off point to start to find out some core information that we need to know about the schools. AD, thank you for the super chat. Rochester Public Schools have a DEI admin who has power to overrule any program or ensure funding in the district or new hires adhere to and are for equity, basically carte blanche to do CRTBS. AD, how do you know that? I'm not doubting you because you're usually right about things. I'm wondering how you know that because that's really good intel and it's something we're going to be able to use. All right, let's just do a quick overview and I'll make this a little bit bigger. Now, when we did the search for equity in Portland, we came back with over 7,000 references for equity. In Rochester, we only have 1,300. Only 1,300 rabbit holes to go down. Oh, it's a Rochester newspaper. Excellent. So they're reporting it in the newspaper. Oh, great. That nothing could go wrong with that. So I definitely want to take a look at this racial equity advocacy leadership. I want to open up that. Rochester School Board Policy Manual, Equity and Educational. So this is going to tell us that as of March 29th, 2018, equity and educational excellence was actually in the school board policy manual. I want to look at that. Student equity and placement. I'm not as interested in that. District leaders discuss racial equity. Excellent. That's going to be a video for us to watch, I think. Excellence through equity. I don't know what that is. This is giving us a lot of PDFs. Learning forward. Okay, let's take a look at that. Let's just start there. Okay. Oh, this is just pulling up documents. Isn't this interesting? What is this video thing? District leaders discuss racial equity. This is okay. So 2016. So we now know that they've been doing equity since at least 2016. At today's cabinet meeting, school board chief Beverly and Superintendent Barbara led a discussion among top district leaders on how to help achieve racial equity in our schools. Equity is a top area of focus the superintendent has laid out for 5 project teams working on the district's 100-day plans. Let's take a look at this. Again, this is back in 2016. Rochester is one of 20 districts from across the country invited to participate in the national discussion on racial equity. In schools convened by the New York leadership, that's not going to take us to anywhere useful. Chief Moore did with convening officer Dean and helped evaluate prototypes developed, blah, blah, blah. Shared this video. I want to see them talking, though. I don't want to see a TED Talk video. Chief Moore also shared this video of a TED Talk by Dorinda Carter-Adams, a consultant who helps districts improve equity to close achievement gaps. In this video, Miss Andrews shares 3 big ideas that school and district communities should accept to achieve racial equity. Superintendent Dean Williams charged the group with leading through an equity lens and making the achievement of racial equity a top priority in the development of the districts. Oh, so this is telling us so the superintendent of Rochester Public Schools for the 2017 through 2018 budget was charging the school district with integrating equity into the school budget. So even from this one article, we already have like 3 rabbit holes we need to go down. So I'm particularly interested in this one here. And this is going to be the most boring one, but it's also going to be the one that we probably need to pay attention to, because anytime they're integrating equity into a budget, that means they are literally allocating taxpayer money based on probably immutable characteristics. Now, in the In the Burlington, Vermont public schools, they do actually have equity line items in the budget, but how they did it wasn't by race. They did it by like people who got free lunch. So they did it by socioeconomic status, which I actually do believe that that is the right way to do it. Mike, if you keep complaining on my Facebook, you are absolutely going to get blocked. I am not. I don't care how much you whine. I don't care how much you complain. I am not doing this any longer with conservatives. I do not care how long you have followed me. What I care about is that you are bringing a negative attitude into my community when I have already asked you once to stop. And this stream wasn't the time I asked you to stop. I asked you to stop a couple days ago. So don't pull this shit for me. You do this again, you will get blocked. I do not care. I am done with negative Nelly conservative attitudes. I am done. You can have all the feelings that you want about it, but you can do it where I can't fucking see you and where you will not disrupt the work my community is doing. Bot, what's their Twitter? Bot is like one of the lead investigators of the Unwoke Army. Found the Twitter of the director of their equity and engagement office. Excellent. Excellent. The Twitter is always a place we want to look. But I definitely want to make sure we're looking at their budgets at some point. So that's going to be good to learn. Okay, what is this? Oh, that's just that organization that they were with. Okay, so we don't need to do that. So these are mostly policy documents. What is this? Oh, check this out. What a first thing to stumble upon. Human Resources Subcommittee from 2019. Racial Equity Advocacy Leadership, the real team. So let's see, what is their human resource plan in regards to equity? 10% year over year in improvement of staff of color hired in compliance with the state in compliance with state requirements in each bargaining unit. I don't know what the bargaining units are. I don't really care right this second. Recruit and retain significantly greater numbers of qualified, appropriately credentialed, underrepresented, race and class conscious staff of color. So hire more non-white people. Parent and community satisfaction survey used to evaluate hiring and retention practices. That's interesting. I wonder what their contract with teachers looks like. I wonder if they have race built into the contract, like with the teachers union. Okay, here's what I'm really asking. Here's what it is. Are they going to fire white teachers first? Are white teachers on the chopping block simply because of their race? Because that's kind of illegal. The superintendent of schools shall ensure that all applicants for open positions are in either administrative instructional support staff that are actively sought from members of any minority group which is underrepresented in the staff. I'm not sure this is legal. The superintendent of schools shall ensure that applicants for open positions in either the administrative, instructional, or support staff of the district are actively sought from members of any minority group which is underrepresented in that staff. Candidates for open position, as well as for promotion or transfer, will be evaluated on the basis of education, experience, and ability to determine. So how they skirt the line here is this. You cannot here. Here is how the Rochester School District is doing this legally. You cannot hire someone based on their race. You can't not hire someone based on their race. The only qualifications that you can use to actually hire people, and this is not just true of school districts, although they're state jobs, and so that's going to be something that probably has extra scrutiny. But like for any employer, you cannot hire people on the basis of their immutable characteristics or on the basis of anything that does not relate directly back to their ability to do the job. What they're talking about in this document is actively recruiting, is actively going into like places where non-white people are and actively recruiting from those places. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. I want to be very clear. Nothing wrong with that at all. My question becomes, are they really just hiring based on experience? Are they really firing just based on performance? Or is there something else going on? But right now, it doesn't look like they're doing anything illegal, and we want to make sure we acknowledge that. All right, so we know they're doing that. Equity and educational excellence. Ensure systemic equity. Holy shit. All right. I want to come back to this because what I really want to do is I want to find their equity office. I want to find their equity office. Board goals and metrics. That's another real team meeting. Reimagining Rochester City schools. What is this about? Diversity, leadership, and coaching. Oh, wait. I think we may have found it. Diversity, leadership, and coaching. Diversity is important to a quality education, the workplace, society, and the world. A person's willingness to reflect can provide opportunity to apply blah, 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 blah. Diversity-centered leadership means diversity is the foundation of who you are and it stabilizes your existence. By the way, I've never heard of this before. I have never actually heard of diversity-centered leadership before. And I say that as an organizational psychologist. And I used to go to all the HR conferences and I used to go to all the coaching conferences. And I ain't never heard of this term. So I don't know what's going on there. But they have a teaching and learning department. So their teaching and learning department is probably where we're going to find we're going to find if they're doing crazy training. Let's go into what's their training schedule? Don't know yet. Let's go back to departments. They don't have equitable student funding. It's never this hard to find an equity department. AD says Will Ruffin II is their diversity officer. Thank you, AD. Appreciate that. So is it just under diversity? No. Where's their equity office? We're going to go one by one. This is not what I like to do. This is why I search first. All right, let's go through their offices. Nope, nope, nope. Nope. Communications, community partnerships. Facilities, nope, nope. Professional learning, I want to know what they're doing in their professional learning office. Adult learning, no. Let's look in their human capital office. That's going to be a code word for human resources. Purchasing, no, 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 no. Oh, student equity and placement, okay. What's that about? They don't have an equity office. But AD is telling me that they have an equity officer. And Bot previously said that she found their director of diversity on Twitter. It's on their webpage under departments, but you can't click it. What is it called, Bot? Equitable student funding. That's not going to be it. Okay. Thank you, Bot. Appreciate it. Why isn't this on their department listing, Rochester schools? Oh, Jan is looking at his Twitter, perusing his Twitter, and found some back-to-school picture books. One was anti-racist baby. This is why we always look at the social media. All right, let me go check into my DMs real quick with Bot. Let's see. Oh, Bot, that's Rochester, Minnesota. That's Rochester, Minnesota. We're looking at Rochester, New York. Wrong Rochester. I should have specified. Now we know we got to look at Rochester, Minnesota at some point too. But I am convinced that there's going to be something on here. Come on. Let me see. Professional learning. Okay, what are your training programs? I just want your training programs. Calendar. Yeah, always make sure you've got the right state. This is going to be true for like places like Portland, where we were looking into Portland, Oregon, but there might be one in like Portland, Maine too, of course. All right. Let's see. Do they not have anything right now? Wow, I guess they are just getting back to school. So they've got nothing scheduled right now, so don't need to worry about that. Current openings. I'm just okay, let me see. You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for diversity positions. Diversity. Nope. Dang. That was for internal positions. I'm not gonna go down the job account rabbit hole. Student equity and placement. Huh. All right. That I'm good with. That I'm good with. I know they've got an equity office somewhere. We're gonna find their fucking equity office. I know they've got it somewhere. This is at the district level. We already know they're integrating it into their budget, so they have it somewhere. See, look at this. Okay, so this is their Rochester City School District real team minutes, and this is from 2020. Okay, and so if we go down to overview of equity, diversity, and inclusion plan, introduction, long term mission and vision for anti racism, equity, diversity, and inclusion. They have this office. I just don't know where it is yet. All right, let me see. We're going to come back to that later. I want to look up anti-racism. Real team. Okay, we'll bring that up. Why talk? Look at this PDF that we just found on the Rochester website. Oh, approaching racism with compassion and humility. Another one. Okay, good. School board minutes. District profile. Let's look at that. Okay. Why talk about whiteness? This is a PDF that exists on the Rochester School District website. Okay, so one thing I appreciate about this website search functionality is that it is giving us a lot of PDFs, which is good because that means we can absolutely assess that they are doing something with it. Why does this PDF exist on their domain if they aren't doing anything with it? So we know that's there. The Consortium on Trauma, Illness, and Grief in Schools. This is more just a resource list, but it also exists on their domain. Why is there anti-racism? And these are school board minute meetings. School board meeting minutes. There we go. There's the non-dyslexic version of it. Can I search this? Yes, I can. Commitment to anti-racism. In the school board meeting minutes. Commitment for anti-racism and something. 57% completion, 29% in progress. I don't know what any of this means, but we know they're doing something. Like one commitment having to do with community members as experts in classrooms. We want to encourage teachers to bring those students into the building. We need to be able to keep track of who is coming in, blah, blah, blah. So we can track and invite Black community or back community members. Help me read program. I don't know what any of this has to do with anti-racism, except that anti-racism is named in it. Anti-racist stipend? What the fuck is that? So this is going to be a lesson in why we always read documents. Because this is the boring stuff, guys. This is how they get away with this stuff. Because this is boring. These are school board minutes. But why are the school board minutes talking about an anti-racism stipend? What the hell is an anti-racism stipend? You know how we find out? We go back over here and we search anti-racism stipend. Draft budget. Find. Come on, let me. Oh, wrong key. Anti-racism. Okay, here it is. Check this out. District profile as of October 22nd, 2020. They're hiding this. Rochester, you sneaky, sneaky, sneaky motherfuckers. You sneaky motherfuckers. They're hiding what they're doing. Because we're finding it. We're finding it in their budget documents. We're finding it in their district profile. We're finding it in these obscure PDFs, but they don't have an office that deals with this stuff. Who deals with it then? Who's in charge of it? Now, if we look at their district profile and we go down here, areas of focus, academic, budget and finances, branding, COVID-19, trauma-informed practices, implicit bias, and anti-racism. So you're telling me that one of the core focuses of this school district is anti-racism, but you don't have an anti-racism or an equity or a diversity office? Sure, Rochester. Sure. All right, Sin has just given me something. Let me just type this into a URL, Sin, so I can see. Sin has given this in the chat. sdk12.org. And guys, please feel free to play along and help me investigate this. We're going to find out what these guys are doing one way or the other. I don't know that that's actually the thing that Sin meant to send me. Let me do that again. /page/52259. Here it is. Okay. Here's what Sin just sent me. Office of Parent Engagement. Oh. Was that on their department list? Hang on. The Office of Parent Engagement is in fact not on there. It is not on their department's directory. Isn't that funny? Why does the Rochester School District have departments in their school district that are not showing up on the department's directory? Or was it under O? Did I miss it? Oh, I did. Never mind. Never mind. I'm being accusatory. It was under O for Office of Parent Engagement, not Parent Engagement. Okay, my bad. Social emotional well-being. Oh, here we go. Good find, Sin. So what Sin did is she did a Google search and it brought her up to this page on the Rochester School District. And apparently there are video sessions for parents about social emotional well-being. Let's see real quick. Hang on. I'm just going to go through this. Can you guys see this? Okay, I'm just going to skim through this real quick. I know you can't hear it, but Mental health crisis. Social emotional learning's not always bad, by the way. Sometimes it's all right. This, at first glance, doesn't look that bad. Okay. That doesn't look that terribly bad to me. So I want to go back to the anti-racism stuff. Because we know one of their areas of focus was anti-racism. So where did that go? Educational partnership. What is this? Equity and academic excellence. Board of Education. Anti-racism. Nope. Equity. Aha! 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 Rochester. Look at this. Chief of School Equity. You're going to tell me you don't have an equity office, but you got a chief of school equity? Excuse me? What is that person a chief of? Does that person have an office? Does that person have a department? The fucking org chart. I didn't even think of this. The org chart. Chief of School Equity. All right. Let's look up that. District leaders discuss racial equity. Leadership appointments. Oh, here we go. Diversity, leadership, and coaching. What is this? 2021. The Rochester City School District is pleased to announce the promotion of Kelly Briggs as Executive Director of Strategic Partnerships, and Nicole Haynes has been appointed as, wait for it, Executive Director of Equity, Inclusion, and Curriculum Program Audit. They literally have a person in charge of overseeing equity getting put into the curriculum. Sneaky, 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 Rochester. Sneaky, sneaky. Is this real? Executive Director, Deputy Equity, Department of Equity and Inclusion and Emotional Support. Is that for Rochester, New York? Because remember, guys, we already got sidetracked by Rochester, Minnesota through no one's fault. I should have specified. But is this for Rochester, New York? Is this confirmed? Nicole Haynes returns to Rochester after serving as a principal and director of school culture and climate in Syracuse City School District. With over 25 years as an educator, she started her career, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure she's a very nice lady. I have no problem with her at all. Degree in applied mathematics. She's a math teacher? Wow. I'm going to be honest. Okay, listen, I'm going to say something that might be unexpected for some people. If we're talking about a math professor or a math teacher being like their equity head, it might not be that bad. It might not be. Oh, bot got us a Twitter. Hang on, bot. Let me pull it up. RCSD equity. That's not the right account. Found her! Well done, bot. Well done, my friend. Okay, let's look at her Twitter. There's her Twitter. Phil, what you got? What do you got? Let me know. Okay. Equity is my life and God rules. Okay, well, you know, I don't have any disrespect for the God part. Let's see about her Twitter. And when we're looking at Twitter, guys, you don't look at the tweets. You look at the tweets and the replies. This is where people get sneaky in their replies. Oh, Phil's got, I don't know how to say that name. I'm sure that's racist. Student equity and placement. Yep, because they do have an office of student equity. So maybe it was that office of student equity. Maybe it was. Maybe that was the office. Where is, hang on, here's what we're going to do. We're going to look up Nicole's name on the website. Again, this is actually proving that the criticism of the Queen is correct in that the search functionality is not the end-all be-all, but it does help us get to information rather quickly when we need it. Real team meeting notes. Let's see. Oh, they facilitated a discussion with the real team. Let's see. Review the equity policy. Oh, really? Oh, really? They gave us a video? Do we actually have a video of them? Is this real? Is this going to work? Do we actually have a video of their real team meeting in which they're reviewing the equity policy? Come on, load, load, load. Everyone, cross your fingers, send this video good vibes. We're going to watch it if it loads. Come on. I believe in you, video. I believe in you. We found a smoking gun, I think. All right, who wants to watch a video? I cannot believe this. I cannot think about what we just had to do in order to find this out. This is why there needs to be a program in this, Matt fucking Walsh. We just had to go through and suss out that they hired a mysterious equity director and then searched her name in the school search bar to find the meeting minutes in which they linked to a Google Drive where they were doing a review of the equity plan. This is like the most like cagey school district that we have found yet. They are super cagey. All right. So let's watch, I guess.
Process. We have the
a look at the equity. Look at this. Look at this. Review agenda. A look at the equity policy. All right. So we should probably. They'll probably get into it pretty quickly. So I want to watch from the beginning.
It's important to talk about what we're dealing with right now, or what.
Can you guys hear that? Yeah, you can.
We certainly are monitoring rising COVID cases, and we know to the west of us, Batavia has shifted to remote, and Superintendent Kreiner Cash, who is with Buffalo Public Schools, has talked about that.
This was, just to get a date for everyone, this was Monday, December 6th, 2021. So this is it's old. It's not like too terribly old, but it's a few minutes old. But it's like last year, so it should still mostly apply.
We are just making sure that we are prepared should we have the cases get to the point, either on the student or the staff side.
You wear that beard much better, Brent.
We have the most
your beard is significantly better than Matt Walsh's.
In place to support scholars and their families. So that is something that we just continue to monitor. The other area that I just wanted to talk about is the fact that we are in the midst of a school reconfiguration process. We have the fact that we have declining, and so we have dads in the hallways. supporting our scholars. That's been very encouraging.
Scholars.
And
this is something I noticed with, where were we looking at? Was it Cambridge or was it Portland? I think it was Portland. So this is another thing that I've noticed. They're starting to call students scholars. Okay? So what does it mean to call a student a scholar? You're shifting them from being a child to being a little adult that is but doing scholarly work. So I think they're changing the language for a reason. I'm pretty sure it was Portland that we heard this with, where they're calling students scholars. They're not scholars, they're in public school. Like, relax.
So we continue to move forward to work to support the specific needs of our scholars. And just the final thing is please mark your calendars for December 18th. We are having our second part to the call to action, where we will be at Franklin, and we will continue conversations along the lines of mental health supports, working with our parents and caregivers, working with our students, and then again, probably some updates on our fire program. So we are very, very excited about that, and look forward to moving forward in that way. Those are just my updates, and I will turn it back over to Elizabeth and to Nicole.
Right,
You know,
thank
Elizabeth,
you.
thank
Yes.
you, Dr. Myers-Small. I was thinking, for those
Oh,
who
here we
didn't
go.
hear, Dr. Myers-Small won't be able to, she has other meetings this evening. So I was wondering if, just real briefly, if anybody had any questions about
Sure.
what she's presented on, because we won't be able to do that towards the end. So any immediate
Sure.
questions about what the superintendent has shared?
And I apologize. Hello, everyone. Just signing in. So did I miss much? Oh, or can you give me a brief or what?
We recorded it just for you.
Oh, you recorded? Okay. All right, I'll go back
And
look
for
at it.
us too. Thank
Yeah,
you for
and
being so
the
considerate.
superintendent is very reachable. So if there are any questions that are posed when we're done and she has to move on to her other parent meetings tonight, we'll be sure to make sure that she gets
Getting my
those
knitting out.
questions.
Josh, the two key things are the rising COVID cases and what might we need to do as we move forward, especially with the fact that a state of
Superintendent's got good
emergency
hair.
was,
I'll give her
quote,
that.
declared in the state
I do
of,
like her
I'm
hair
sorry,
quite a bit,
in
actually.
Monroe County, and then also the school reconfiguration meetings.
I would
and
never touch
just
it. That
how
would be
the fact
racist.
that
I
we
mean,
have
I really
had
would never touch
a
it because
series
that
of
is actually
meetings
kind of
at each
legitimately
school
racist.
that
But
we have a
it is good
hearing on
hair.
December 15th.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I just got a contact for a couple of administrators in surrounding districts. They want to know what is Rochester doing.
Eliminate
So I didn't know.
systemic
So,
disparities,
so it
ensure
hasn't been
systemic
decided
equity,
yet
ensure systemic
in
equity,
terms of
ensure
the-
systemic
okay,
equity.
all right.
No, we're just trying to figure out what the threshold, what that threshold
Oh,
would be
Tom J for the
around
win. SEL's
the
toolkit and
possibility of
LGBT
shifting to
resources under
remote.
student
We're
support. We'll
working
look at
very
that in a
hard
sec, Tom
not to
J.
do that.
Thank you. Well done.
But we know that it's a reality. And, especially on the transportation side, we just might not have enough drivers
On this
to
channel,
transport
investigating
students. And so
schools is a
that
group
might
activity.
be something that we have
Please
to
mount
look
the
at.
like
So it's
button
not
if you
just
enjoyed the
students and
process we had to choose to get here.
teachers, administrators, and
here,
staff
rather.
at the school level. We have to look at transportation and make sure we have enough staff to transport scholars every day.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
Mhm.
Have our numbers been comparable to surrounding districts? Because my son's school, they've been pretty low.
I hear my Unwoke Army Discord going off right now, by the way.
Well, it's hard to it's like comparing apples to oranges because of our size, but I know that we've had some other districts, and I've talked to Dan White, who's the Monroe 1 superintendent. So those are all districts on the east side. And 2 weeks ago, it was pretty difficult, and a couple schools on the east side almost did have to shift to remote. It's getting difficult.
This is at the end of 2021, by the way.
Well, thank you for that. See how special you are, Mr. Mack.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm just trying to
no,
figure
that
out
was
what's going on,
good. That was good. You helped others as well, so we
Well,
appreciate
this is a couple of charter schools, so that, I guess they contract with the district, so they were wanting to know. I said, I don't know. I can't speak for for what's going on, but
We will check
as soon
out
as I hear
Rochester,
something, I'll let
Minnesota,
you know. I mean,
Jan.
I'm
Don't
sure
you
it's gonna come
worry.
out, but people are just wanting to know what the status is going to be so they can plan for their charter school stuff, I guess. but we've been losing a lot of teachers to suburbs for some reason. I know that's been an issue, but I don't know.
Really? What's going on there, I
Grinding on out
wonder?
at this point. Jeez.
What's that
We
education,
definitely are
equity and
gonna
educational
maintain our
excellence
focus on
policy?
equity
Mhm.
and try to make those decisions based on that. So that's actually a nice transition. At our
Yes.
last meeting,
Tell us your equity plan.
we did share with the group the equity policy, and the group asked if they could have some time to really digest it. And then what we thought we might do tonight is break up into smaller groups and kind of do what's called a jigsaw. So a small group becomes an expert on a small piece, and then they'll have an opportunity to come back and say, based on this piece, how do we as a real team help the district accomplish the goals that are in this policy? And so we calculated there were 12 community members, and then we were going to have some district members on. So in our size, even though we're a small size, we think it will still be really good if we popped off together. What I want to make sure I do in the chat first, just in case, you know what, Elizabeth, it might be easier for you to do because that's a link in the slide, correct?
Yes.
All right. So if you could put that in the chat.
Okay.
And then if you'll come back to share once you do
She's
that.
got good hair too. Everyone's got good hair.
And we'll do some random pairings of 4 groups because we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Are we going to get to listen to one of these?
Perfect. We'll have at least 2 people in each group, and then Elizabeth and I can rotate.
Mike, I got a soft spot for you. I know you're the bee.
Awesome.
I know who you are.
It wouldn't go.
I don't want to
Oh,
block
is
people.
that-
I just will if you're being
Let
a
me
Debbie
see if I
Downer.
can actually open it up.
Got to look after group morale,
Yeah.
man.
Here we go.
Awesome. So what we'll have people do is read. That's the purpose we want everybody to read, which I'm sure most people have read in the time that they had. And then after the purpose, there is eliminating inequity. That section talks about some very specific behaviors that the district will engage in, and then maintaining equity. And so each group will take a piece. The only sections that every group is reading is the beginning, which is the purpose, and the very end, which is implementation and monitoring. And if you'll share again, Elizabeth, they'll be able to see that on the screen.
A lot of this
Everyone,
shit happens
please
in
just
Australia.
try
You're
to get into the document
uber
if you
woke.
haven't already printed
I'm sorry,
it or have it
uber
somewhere
woke.
stashed. Just check the chat and make sure that you can get into it. It's just really important for us to have an anchor, right? Because the work that we're doing is connected to so many things. It's just really important for us to have an anchor.
Do the work.
And the equity and
Do the
educational
work.
excellence policy anchors us and helps us with the work that we're trying to accomplish. In addition to what we'll see a little bit later in the meeting when it comes to our strategic task force teams. So did anyone have a challenge with opening the
It's a
document?
good beer. Elysium, Night Owl.
No, it came
Good.
open. I just asked, can I rotate as well? Because I'm gonna
Oh,
shift to my
yeah.
car.
That'll be perfect.
Thank
All right,
you.
so let me do quick assign. We're gonna go 1, 2. You know what?
I want to sit in on their breakout.
What I'm gonna do, Dr. Myers Small, is I'm gonna make you a co-host.
Okay, great, thanks.
So then you won't go into a room.
Okay, and then I'll shift to my phone.
And
Great.
you know what, Elizabeth? I don't think I can. Can you check and see if you can? While I create the room.
Yeah.
You are perfect. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna do 4.
I'm anxious about what's going to happen when they go into breakout rooms. Are we going to be able to listen? What's going to happen?
Create. Awesome. Oh,
Can I throw something out there while you're doing that?
yes, sir.
I was just thinking about how can we keep staff continually engaged? And I was thinking about, Nicole, you probably remember this a few years ago when we had those early Wednesdays.
Bet they never thought
those
this would be
mandatory
streamed
staff
live on
meetings.
YouTube.
That was so helpful to us being able to keep staff
No.
engaged on a continual basis. I'm struggling
Okay.
now. With,
So for those, no, this is not live. What this is we had to do some digging to find out what the Rochester, New York schools were doing on equity, because they don't have an equity department website, but they do have an equity executive director, and they've hidden all that stuff on their website. And what we have dug out is a recorded meeting that they posted in December of 2021 of them reviewing their district's equity policy. This is not available on the website. They have hid it. They hid it underneath like 17 layers, and we had to do a whole bunch of searches and really get scrappy to find this video. And so that's what we're watching now, is hopefully they're going to explain their equity policy to us. We had to be spies, essentially. Guys, mount that like button if you like that we're being spies tonight. I appreciate it. You're not mounting it for this content. We're sussing this out. We're figuring out what the Rochester, New York schools are doing.
We're struggling with how do we get staff to be able to meet.
By the way, what we might watch this video, because I want to be really fair about this. I'm not going to be an alarmist shill like Matt fucking Walsh. Like, we might watch this video and find out that they're not doing anything wrong. Because there are ways that you can approach these topics, and really, like, it's fine and probably actually a good thing. So we always need to leave space when we're doing investigations like this for the fact that they're probably trying, like, the people involved are probably trying to be good people. They're probably doing what they think is best. In some cases, I might think they're wrong, but there might be cases in which what they're doing is perfectly fine and acceptable and not something for parents to be concerned about. But we're going to watch what they're doing, and we're going to see this presentation of like their equity and educational excellence policy or whatever, and we're going to see what they're doing. And then it's going to be out in the open, and they don't have to hide it anymore on their website, going 17 layers into a search to find a random video in meeting minutes. You know? It could be fine. It might not be fine. We're going to see.
Consistently, so we can embed some of these things in there. They took it
well,
away
exactly,
because they were
Tom
saying,
J. Then why hide it 17 layers in on their website?
But I don't think that's really the case. I think that we're losing time on being able to meet as teams now and be able to, just something to consider.
But none of these people to me seem bad. They seem like they're well-meaning people.
Consider,
you know?
There's just no way we haven't been able to have a staff meeting at all.
And I want to be fair to these people too.
No one's staying after school, and the time is just not there.
All right, well, that's something we can definitely put in the parking lot, and then we can rotate back unless there's something immediate. I don't think it's something that we can really solve right now, but definitely it speaks to the equity piece in terms of keeping staff engaged. So the rooms are ready. I'm going to open them up. So this is just to be clear, and I'll put a note in the chat, but just look quickly. I'm going to tell you real quickly that Joe and Kelly, you're in room 1, so you're team 1. And Mr. Howard and Julio, you're in room 2.
What team are we going to watch?
2. And then Josh and Monjon. Hopefully I did that well. Help me if I didn't. Room 3. And then Mr. Snipe and Ms. Turner are in room 4. And so we'll also share what your pieces are.
Yes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Message is going to show up in your room.
That is true.
All right, so I'm opening all the rooms.
Oh, breakout. Oh, they did a fancy graphic. Holy shit.
Make sure that equity is involved.
We do get to see the breakout rooms. How great is this?
I wish I had recorded that. Jackie.
We need to put that on the little Jamboard.
Yes, put it on the Jamboard. Yes.
I don't know how to do a Jamboard, so
that's okay.
I'll write it on the Jamboard. Renee, you say it, I'll write it.
Dr. Leslie asked us to ask each member of the real team to join a team, and there were 4 teams. And
you're doing great, Jan.
The high equity.
Don't worry about it.
High quality learning environments.
High quality.
I know, but I do like to be fair to people who I think are operating with good intentions. Listen, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, oftentimes people that believe in this stuff, oftentimes people who believe in this stuff, oh God, conservatives are so awful. No, shan't. Conservatives are so awful. They're emailing me complaining about the Matt Walsh Substack that I just posted. No. Conservatives are so touchy about Matt fucking Walsh. He's such a fucking shill. I don't know why you guys like him. He is such a shill. They're like, why are you complaining about? Matt Walsh attacks me all the I know this is not the topic of this. Matt Walsh attacks me like all the fucking time. Matt Walsh steals my shit. Matt Walsh overtly attacks me and sends his audience to attack me. Matt Walsh can suck a dick. Because I'm doing the journalism that motherfucker refuses to do. All right. So the reason that I do want to be nicer to these people is because, like, people who are into this equity and anti-racism stuff will tell you intent doesn't matter. I don't agree with that. I actually do think that intent does matter. I really do. I think that if people have positive intent, that is something that should be acknowledged. I just think that a lot of times the people that are doing this stuff, they haven't thought through to the logical end result of their actions. And so they have positive intent. They're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to be a good person, and they won't, well, I don't know about these people in specific, I'm not speaking about any of them in particular, but in general, people who adhere to this ideology, they don't want to acknowledge our positive intent. Like, I don't want to treat people differently because of their race. I want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to be respected. I don't care if you're trans. I'll use your pronouns. I don't give an F. I don't care if you're black or brown or what have you. I'm going to treat you the same regardless. I'm going to treat you with respect and dignity that you deserve as the result of being a human being. These people, and again, I'm not saying these people specifically, but oftentimes people in this ideology don't want to acknowledge that people like us have positive intent. I want us to be better than them. We need to be better than them. We need to be better than them, guys. If we are not better than them, and if we don't acknowledge that positive intent does matter, then we have no ground to stand on at all. Oh my God, bot, did you really? Please tell me. Please tell me. Thank you, bot.
A graduate look like that can be successful in society after they graduate.
Love it. Right. And that just highlights how important it is for each of the Real Team members to be serving on a strategic task force, because that's where the work's being done.
And the
we
four
need to make sure we're at the table.
Hold on.
Terrytown!
High quality learning.
Terrytown, New York. I'm gonna write that down, bot. Hang on, Terrytown. We're gonna do Book Girls. Book Girl crashed my stream the other day, and she wouldn't tell us what school district she was in. Okay, bot, I wrote it down. Thank you for that. Bot, you are bot. Bot, if I ever piss you off, you have to let me know so I can apologize. I genuinely mean this. You are too good of an investigator. Bot, you are meant to do this. You are built for the Unwoke Army, bot. If I ever say something that pisses you off, you have to let me apologize to you.
Learning environments, building collaborative communities. LEAD is broken up into two sections. One is hiring and recruitment, and the other one is capacity building. So
you call that LEAD?
LEAD, L-E-A-D. Think about the strategic plan. It has 4 priorities. Engage.
I don't want you.
That's the high quality learning.
I don't want you running around Twitter claiming I groomed you and sexually harassed you when I didn't. I'm just saying, bot. I don't want another repeat of my lead fucking investigator, like, running around Twitter saying, she groomed me. I don't want that again, bot. I've had that for 9 straight months. I can't do it again. Yes, bot, here's your crowd. Well done.
Learning environments. Lift up, that's the ensuring caring, inclusive environments. That's the strategic task force. Then so it's engage, lift up, collaborate. That's the building collaborative community strategic task force. And then there's LEAD, and LEAD actually has 2. So we wind up with 5 instead of 4. So all 4 priorities: engage, lift up, collaborate, and lead. But then LEAD breaks off into 2 groups, because it's not only hiring and retention, but it's capacity building of the leaders that you currently have. And we're going to review those tonight. So don't feel like you have to remember that. We're going to put a link in the chat that gives you all of the teams and all of the contact or the chairs for each team. Don't feel like you have to remember that.
Okay, so So let me, I got a whole bunch of stuff on this and I'm trying to make it a sticky note. So
that's not, you gotta
Right. And it's like,
we jumped into a different
when
one.
it comes to that cultural humility, the first step to me is just even acknowledging and respecting someone's culture. You know, if it's a particular, okay, just because someone is African American doesn't mean that they're from Haiti. You know what I'm saying? We got to understand.
Whoever said that.
When we talk about certain foods, okay, tacos, that's associated with Mexican culture. You know,
yes.
Just even getting through the front door, the basics. You know what I'm saying?
Now I want tacos.
Where you like,
I'm gonna order some tacos.
And they're like, oh, what kind of Chinese food do y'all make? I'm like, no. And a lot of our families do that. A lot of our families, come on now, we know we have family members where you're like, be quiet. You know, I get offended, and it's not me because it's like they don't even understand the front door stuff, where you don't come in, or you know, if someone has, you know, in particular cultures that we have braids or a wig or extensions in your hair, you don't go and touch the hair. You know, it's just certain things.
I agree with not touching the hair. Don't touch people's hair. It's weird.
Some of those things on the Jamboard as things that we can either help with as a real team or that we are helping with as a real team.
I wonder how that white guy feels.
So I was just checking in on y'all. You guys are doing great. So I'm gonna pop out and see how another team.
Ooh, Terrytown has equity on their top line.
I want to just be totally transparent. It also gives me an opportunity to tape little snippets from each of the groups, which is really cool because when I pop in and out, the recording comes with me.
Oh, that's how she did it. That's good to know.
See you soon.
So, what does A mean, do you think? Invite.
Let's see. Let me look for it. Invite people off the classes.
And that's what we're saying. If we're comparing ourselves, hey Nicole, we're just saying we're comparing our actions and what we can do with what someone surrounding us, so we see are doing.
We're gonna see a report back later, I think. So we're gonna be able to.
About a month ago, they did we're on number 2 with providing cultural competency training. They shut down for the superintendent conference day and had the entire staff body engaged in the whole day workshop of.
Doesn't it feel like we're spies right now?
They brought in keynote speakers, and they really had a day of it. And I got the information because I happen to be on the equity team, but it was just for the staff.
Really?
And that's so awesome because when we see in policy that this is what the policy says we also need to do, then we got to figure out, that goes to your point you made in the larger session, right? How are we going to do it if we don't?
So I think what he just said, I could be wrong about this, but I feel like what he just said, and let me know in the chat if you have a different impression. I feel like what that guy just said is like that one of the schools, because remember, we're looking at the district level right now. So we're looking at the superintendent level of the school, and then there are several schools under the district level. What I heard is that one of the schools had an entire staff in-service day all about equity. That's what I heard there. I could be wrong.
Have Wednesdays anymore. How will we do it?
Right.
And so that may be something that the real team has to grapple with.
Right, let me put that down.
Yeah. Make sure you put it and jot it in the Jamboard too.
Okay, the Jamboard. Do I just open up the text box and put it in a text box?
You can do a text box, yes, or you can right underneath that arrow. Those are Post-its. So if you click on that too, you can just type a Post-it, say save, and it posts on the Jamboard.
Okay.
By the way, that social justice teacher planner that I ordered yesterday while I was on the stream has now shipped. So I should be getting my social justice teacher planning guide soon.
Okay. So I'm at Jamboard, and it's posted under the arrow.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's it. I was just a little rusty. I was just a little rusty because I had.
That's okay. Listen, that's why I'm using Jamboard and not Padlet, because I'm rusty on Padlet, but I do well on Jamboard.
So, well, that helped me a lot. So let me so should I say this is for bullet number 2, so you'll know what I'm saying, or just put out what I'm thinking?
This is bullet number 2 underneath.
Underneath where it says the second one was
the leadership.
Well, it's the providing culturally competent training for all its personnel. That's number
I
two.
would at least say that it has to do with CRE training,
Okay, all right.
because that's in policy. It says that that's something we're supposed to be doing. So we as a real team, is part of our responsibility to ensure or
Culturally competent
support
teacher
it
training. That's
to happen.
basically
And it
critical
is
race theory.
happening. But
Critical race theory.
I want to make sure that we bring back everything.
They're not
we
calling
do
it critical race theory, but that's what
to
it is.
policy and ground
I
us.
call that CRE, you say? What do you call it?
Yes, the culturally responsive education.
Okay.
That's
culturally responsive
CRT.
Education training.
Hmm.
Okay.
All right.
I was just giving you a
They're calling it CRE. CRE stands for culturally responsive education. That is the new word that they are using for critical race theory. So when critical race theory got completely demonized in the media because of the excellent work of Chris Rufo, they did what we all said they were going to do, which is that they changed the language. They just changed it to something else. And one of the things they changed it to, and there are many words for it, and this is why we always have to keep on top of this stuff, is culturally responsive teaching, which didn't work because it was like the same acronym, or culturally responsive education, as we've heard here. But you need to think of them as the same. They're not exactly the same thing, but they're similar enough for our purposes that if we hear culturally responsive teaching or culturally responsive education, I want to see what they're doing. Because again, there could be circumstances that they do it in which it's perfectly fine and really not something to worry about at all. And there could be circumstances that they do it in which it's basically critical race theory and they're just calling it something else. And it really just depends. You always got to pay attention to their language. Always, always, always. Because if they start getting caught for one thing, they're just going to start calling it something else. Language is their number one weapon. And that's why this stuff is necessary. Because they try to confuse people with the language.
an acronym so you wouldn't have to write the whole thing out.
Okay. And I'll assign it there. I got you now. So that's
Okay.
two. Okay.
All right. You okay, Mr. Manjon?
I am, thank you.
Awesome. Is there a strategic task force that you are interested in, Mr. Manjon?
I like this lady. I
believe-
think she seems
hold on one
nice, to be
second.
honest with you. I think she seems like
believe
really
that,
nice.
I signed up for the, what is it? The community.
She's got good energy.
Community task force. I don't
Yes,
know.
Building Strong Community.
It's what is it called?
It's called Building Strong Community, so that's fine.
Building
I'm not
Strong.
sure that they've met yet. But you will see that the connections, for example, with the training will fall with the strategic task force, because there are going to be some things that each of the strategic task force are dealing with. And I think Building Strong Community has a component on professional development, but we're going to make sure that we hit on that tonight as well. We're going to look at each one of the
Okay, Allotrope is asking a great question. Is it possible to discuss race in schools without it being racist or some form of CRT? Yes. It is absolutely possible to discuss race in schools without it being racist and without it being critical race theory. And we always need to keep our minds open that that might be what they're doing. It is possible to teach history about slavery and the civil rights movement without discussing CRT and without it being like an overtly like racist thing. CRT is really specific. CRT is about assuming that racism exists everywhere and then teaching people to look for racism everywhere. If you're just talking about race or the civil rights movement, the experience of like some Black Americans that, you know, like, listen, guys, and I really hate that it is a fine line to walk. But it has to be okay for us to talk about the fact that Black Americans probably do mostly have a different experience than white Americans. Now, some of that's going to depend on socioeconomic status. Of course, socioeconomic status is probably going to be one of the number one indicators of that. But there are realities regarding, and I know you're in Australia, but like there are realities regarding racism in America that we still do need to grapple with. We are not in a perfect country. And so there needs to be a balance between being able to have those conversations about things that are legitimately wrong. Where I really draw the line, though, with critical race theory in particular, is because critical race theory assumes that racism is everywhere when it is not. It is not. There are a lot of people that are not racist. And people shouldn't be called racist just for a political position or because they disagree with a black person. That's not what that is. Sin. Sin. I can't copy this, Sin. Oh my gosh. Hang on. Let me see if I can bring this up. Because Sin seems to have found something important here, and I just want to make sure I get it. dk12.org, CMS, B, NY, 01001156, SAS centricity / domain. Oh my god, Sin /40 / culturally responsive. If I type this incorrectly, it's going to be a miracle. Oh, file not found. Sin, is there any way that you can send that to me in a DM, please? Obviously not. I'm not on Twitter, obviously, but can you send that to me in a DM, please, Sin? I would appreciate it. I can't type in that link and it's not letting me copy it. Thank you.
Task force and just get a sense of how it's connected to the work and the policy.
There was one that I believe Miss Briggs, Kelly
Does
Briggs,
it really?
I think, was leading.
Wow,
What
Andrew,
is the
good
name
find.
of that task
That
force?
is the Building Strong Community.
That's the Building Strong Community.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, all right, and we're gonna make sure we review those tonight, so don't think you have to remember them.
Okay.
All right,
And I
we're
just
gonna
click,
take-
I just click share and it'll go there, right? I mean, save.
save and it'll go right there. Yes.
I see it. Thanks.
All right,
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna broadcast a message to each group, letting them know that we have about 5 more minutes.
Okay. I'll get to clicking in.
All right.
We're having great discussion. Okay.
Nice thing is, even when you're not in your group, you will still have access to the Jamboard,
Oh, okay.
so you can keep
Oh.
typing, okay?
Thank you, Elsie. I
All right.
appreciate it. Got it.
What else? So we got 3 things captured. Well, look at that. Commit to ensuring that fairness, equity.
Oh, I guess you can
inclusion are
click in the
essential
chat. I'm not
principles of
looking
our
in the
school
chat. Hang
system,
on.
fully integrating these principles into all of our. Now, I can tell you from being a classroom teacher, you know how, and even now, to me,
I
in
can
my-
click in the chat,
and
just
I
on a
wanna hear
different
what you all
screen.
think about this. But when I look at D, it's also me not being judgmental to people, because you know how we have our own beliefs and ideas. And if I'm going to commit
Got
to
it,
ensuring
Sin.
that fairness, equity, and inclusion, when I look at that, you know, sometimes you may come across certain things where you may not necessarily agree with it, or culturally, you know, I'm just saying, and sometimes I have to, and I feel that you got to make sure that even though it may not align with your beliefs or whatever, you still have to commit to the fairness, the equity, inclusion. So if I see that someone
This
isn't
woman's going to be
being
a problem.
treated right based on this or that, I have to still make sure they're being treated fairly, you know. And I think that right there, to me,
She's not saying anything necessarily wrong
that's
right
a
now,
big
but
one,
like,
because do people truly do that? Commit to fairness.
So that ought to be a result of B.
they have childhood
You
book
know what I'm
lists.
saying?
Well done, Sin.
Yeah.
Great
So
investigating.
D ought to be a result of B.
That's a great point. Make sure to capture that somewhere. Both what you and Kelly were saying are great points to capture.
Because D is not really, yeah, well,
I
yeah.
just want to see D, that to me, everything here is just so good, but that commit to ensuring that fairness, equity, and inclusion are essential principles of our school system.
I want to know how they're
Really
defining
integrating
equity.
them in all of our policies, programs.
They haven't said that
operations, and
yet.
Practices. That takes a minute
Right.
to really look at things that way.
Yeah, that's definitely a reflective piece. Like you
Mhm.
said, start small, Joe.
Yeah.
That's not something you would start big, right? It's definitely relational, you know, a
Mhm.
reflective piece. It begins kind of with me. It's almost like
it's-
we got to do a campaign.
But it can't happen without B first. No? You think?
And they might go hand in hand.
Yeah. I
Sure.
think they're all
Sure.
components. They're all components that work together.
Okay, let me oh shit. I can just barely read this. Okay, the first one says invite, I think, and include people from all protected classes to examine issues and find adaptive solutions which address the root causes and systems rather than technical solutions which provide one-time something solutions. B says, develop the personal, professional, and organizational skills and knowledge of its employees to enable them to address the role and presence of racism, both in its implicit and explicit form. So that's talking about implicit bias. We don't like that one. C, eliminate the racial predictability and disproportionality in all aspects of education and its administration, i.e., the disproportionate over-application of discipline to students of color, their representation in special education, and those underrepresentation in various advanced learning programs. So that's a little tricky because I don't actually necessarily disagree with this. But here's what happened. So the Burlington School District did exactly the same thing. Is they were doing restorative justice to push down the number of suspensions of Black students, which is actually fine. Like, of course you don't like, I don't think there's any use in suspending students. And of course you don't want like students of color, to use their terminology, like you don't want like Black and brown students to get suspended at disproportionately higher rates for things that like white students are not getting suspended for. That's not good. And I think we can all agree that that's not good. Where I started to have an issue with it with the Burlington schools, though, is they were lying about their results. Because what we found in the Burlington schools is they were still pretending that Black students were suspended at a disproportionately higher rate when their own data showed them that they were not getting suspended anymore at a disproportionately higher rate. So they were lying about the data, even though their own internal data, and we found the reports, even though their own internal data did not back up the claims that they were making. So on I don't like B. On C, I think it's fine in terms of like reducing the disproportionality of like students of color getting suspended at a higher rate or having increased discipline or things like that. I think that that's actually a good goal to have. My only caution would be is that they are not always honest about those numbers, and we know that because the Burlington, Vermont School District was not honest about its numbers at all. And then D says, commitment to ensuring that fairness, equity, and I think inclusiveness are essential principles of our school system, fully integrating these principles into all of our policies, programs, operations, and practices. So this is about integrating equity into everything, which I do not agree with. Because equity, as a reminder, is about equality of outcome. It is not about equality of opportunity. I am fine with equality of opportunity. I am fine with getting more Black and brown kids into advanced level courses. I am fine with reducing the disproportional suspension of Black and brown kids for the same things that white kids do. I'm fine with all of that. I start to have a problem with it, though, when we're talking about equality of outcome across the board for everything integrated into the curriculum, simply because I think that that has unforeseen consequences that maybe haven't been considered. But like I said, I don't actually think that any of the people we've seen so far have bad intention. And I think we need to acknowledge that. I actually like this equity lady. I think she's got good energy. I think she's a nice person. I think she's trying to do the right thing. She seems like she's doing a good job. Like, I don't have any problem with this woman yet. That might not be what people like to hear, but that's what I'm going to say because I'm going to approach this in a fair way.
Be that type of individual that's engaged. I think we're going back. I don't know what happened there. I heard recording in progress. Thought it was already recorded.
Whenever I jump in, the recording starts again.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. I'm like, what the heck happened there? But I get it.
So, I mean, I think that if the district is sincere about engaging parents, and there has to be an understanding that it's not going to be a easy climb, because before you start to engage them, you're going to have to earn back the trust that you lost. And if you're not going to do that, then you're wasting time talking about engagement. Very few people are going to show up or even take interest in what
Did you put something on the Discord, Mace?
because you haven't earned their trust back. So that would be the number one thing, in my opinion, is that there has to be some
I see it.
onus of
I see
earning
it.
that trust.
Thank you.
But also, if there is no mechanism in place that those that are supposed to be doing the job are not doing the job, if there's no consequence, then why? It's like if someone commits a crime and there's no consequence for that crime, then they will continue to commit that same crime. So if the consequence is not greater than the act itself, then people will continue to do it. And that's why racism is so rampant. I
don't like this guy. This guy's going to be a problem. He's like a true believer.
You know, Mr. Tanksy, what you're also reminding me of is, and which reason why I think you make such a great member of the Building Strong community team, is that trust is the underlying component also for building that strong community. And so, you know, before we end tonight, we're going to reiterate the task force teams. And we apologize that the team that you and Mr. Eagle signed up for, I'm not sure if you've signed up for one yet, Mr. Jordan, but we'll talk about it this evening. They haven't, the Building Strong Community Task Force hasn't met yet, but
Building Strong Community Task Force. What is that?
What I hear you saying is you got to get this
What is
trust
that?
thing
I'm writing
going.
that down.
How can you build strong community if we haven't taken the actions that are necessary to rebuild that trust?
Task Force.
Because the reality is some of our parents, a lot of our parents, good percentage, were also our students. And so the question then becomes, what was that experience like for them?
I'm gonna
some
try
of it was good.
Punkachino.
We got some great graduates and some of
Coffee
it not so good.
and pumpkin.
So how does that impact their relationship with us as parents if they were with us when they were students? So I'm going to draw everybody out. Just know that you'll have a minute before you're totally out. And hopefully you've captured some things on the Jamboard. We'll come together. So much great conversation.
Okay,
so
now we're in a
gonna take
breakout
a moment
session.
to report out. And I love the fact that every time I popped into a room, the recording started. So in the recording, you'll see snippets of your conversations, which I think will be helpful to our team members that aren't here with us. I'm going to share my screen so that we all can see the Jamboard at the same time. But if you're in the Jamboard, you also can see it. But
I like
think
this
sometimes it
lady.
just
I
helps
want
our
this lady
focus
to
when
do
we
well.
can
I'm really rooting
have
for
it
her
up in
more than
front
I
of
think
us.
people understand.
And I'm not, there's no
I'm
order.
really
We're going to
rooting for
say, I
her.
used to tell my students, this is popcorn. Whoever pops is on. So whichever group wants to talk a bit about what you learned from the policy, and let's try to be as do like we asked the kids to refer to the text, right? Use evidence from the text to make your point in regard to what the real team does to help the Rochester City School District accomplish the goals that are in the policy. So help us to see those goals in the policy by directing us to policy language. So I'm sitting at team one, but that doesn't mean that team one needs to pop. Whoever pops is on. Team
Benjamin,
1, 2,
probably
3,
for
or
the
4.
best. Congratulations on homeschooling. If you have any intel to share with us, we're all ears. What did you experience there?
Dialogue going on.
Do we want to have another team one? So we had to we read the introduction piece to purpose, and we
That's
thought that
good.
that was just
it's so
summed
good.
it up. It was really deep, but it was so important, especially that
it's like coffee ice cream with pumpkin.
Educational equity goes beyond formal equality. Because we talked about how years ago, you know, when my mother, when she was growing up, you know, civil rights movement, it was all about equality. But now we realize equality is not enough. We talked about how, you know, say, for example, Pittsburgh, another suburban district, you know, 200,000 may put them at a certain level, but for us to reach that level, we may need 400,000 or 500,000, you know. So we really loved how it talked about and went in depth about equality is not enough. And then as
I told you this one was going to be a problem. Okay.
As we read our section on eliminate.
When she says equality is not enough, what that means is discrimination in the present to make up for discrimination in the past. What they say, what people like her, this one, I knew she was going to be a problem. She's like a true believer. What they think is that if Martin Luther King had remained alive, that he would have gotten to critical race theory. I mean, and maybe that's true. That could very well be true. But what they are saying is discrimination now to make up for past discrimination. And that's what they mean when they say equality is not enough.
Systemic disparities, that's where we had the dialogue. We really got into that part, boy. Me, Mr. Joe Simpson, and Miss Elizabeth, we really, like, we stayed there. We were just really engaged in that part. So the first one we just talked about on our jam board, staff need to understand their own personal bias, continuous professional learning where application and practices are built into it. So it's not just a, one-stop shop. One time I'm here and I'll come back to it, where several sessions where they have to revisit it, where they have evidence they have to bring, have a discussion, go back to the classroom or wherever.
I agree, Brent. I like the equity lady. I do. I like her.
Work, talking your discussion, go back. So it's a constant cycle.
I said math professor. I said she didn't think she was going to be that bad.
One-time learning where it's like a continuous learning cycle. And we just, wanted to
I want to see how she's going to handle this one, though.
So are you saying that in the policy, one of the ways in which we will eliminate systemic disparities is for people to come to understand their own personal biases? Is that what the policy was helping us to see?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yep. Awesome. And how do we, as a real team, how do we help with that?
Well, we help with that by, providing the professional learning for people, putting that in place, and designing a system where, okay, we have a series of meetings, maybe let's just say 3 or 4 meetings. And, sessions I like to.
So apparently the real team is their equity office is what I'm getting. Is anyone else getting that? Like so we've been looking for like equity office, diversity office, anti-racism stuff. Apparently the real team is what we should be looking for. And that makes sense because that was like the very first thing that popped up when we did that search for equity, right? Was the real team. So now we know the real team is what we need to look for in the Rochester, New York School District. This is where it gets tricky to do this sort of thing because they really do name everything differently in every single school district. So there's not like a one size fits all. We got to do a little bit of digging before we figure out what they're doing.
But session 1, we start with, I call it the front door or getting in the gate, coming in the gate, entering the gate. Here's what we're going to learn here. We're going to talk about it, practice it. We want you to take it back, come back, review it, discuss what you learned.
Bot!
So a series of steps, not just coming.
Bot for the win! Holy shit, Bot! Found the real team page with meeting notes. Bot, you know where to send that. You know what I like, Bot. Oh, I'm so grateful. Bot, I'm so grateful that you showed up again after I blocked you on Twitter. Sin found it too? Oh, man. Hang on. Let me get this up. Bot, is that the same one that you found? Hang on. You DM'd it? Okay, hang on. Oh, God, I got too many windows open. This is what happens. I think Sin found the same one. I'm pretty sure this is the same one. Hang on. Is that no? The one that Sin found is slightly different. That's all right. Hang on, let me get Sins up real quick. rcsdk12.org/page/55953. Yes. Yes, you guys found it. We found it. We did it. Okay. Brooklyn Way, Carlin, trace to the state DPI will DM you. Thank you. Thank you, Brooklyn Way. Well done. Well done, guys. Okay, we're going to come back to that, I promise. But I just want to show you. This is like, it took some sussing out, but we finally found that their equity team is called the real team. The Rochester City School District will be a thoroughly anti-racist institution that ensures equitable opportunities for all. We've got their meeting minutes back to 2021 anyway, which doesn't seem like a year ago. It's under the Human Resources Office, which I have not actually seen this before. I have not seen this before. It being positioned under the Human Resources Office, but it does actually make sense. And then what did Bot find? Okay, Bot found, okay, so it's actually the same thing, except it's 2 different page numbers for some reason. So Bot and Sin found the same page. And we've got their staff list. We have their staff list. Wow. Well done. Look at this. Look at how many staff members they have associated with the real team. Holy shit. But I will totally unblock you. Well, if I ever get my Twitter, when I get my Twitter account back. God, Mike Harlow is going to die the day I get my Twitter account back. Mike Harlow is not going to fucking know what to do. When I get my Twitter account back, I am unblocking you, Bot. Congratulations. Well done to Bot. Well done to Sin. They are the heroes of the show today. But we're also going to go back and watch the rest of this because I'm just curious about how this plays out. But seriously, guys, this is why we do these streams. This is why this investigative work is fun. Sometimes we have to suss some stuff out. Mount that like button for Bot and Sin simultaneously in honor of them for figuring out that the real team is the equity team and finding their website with their staff list where we can now go through their social media accounts and figure out what they really think.
But not really doing anything about it. Because you got to actually show evidence to talk about it.
Yeah, we talked a lot about applying it, having that application, that self-application.
The real team, these sneaky motherfuckers.
And that it really begins with individuals, right? Yep. And making that commitment.
Yes. Both Bot and Sin are the queens of the chat for the day. They can say whatever they want. They can shit talk. I don't care. Bot and Sin are the queens of the chat.
Come on, who's gonna pop next, or do we want to just go in order? I'll just flip the page. Team 2?
Yeah, I think our conversation.
I just want to point out that when I blocked Bot on Twitter, and I didn't even know who Bot was then, Bot didn't act like a little bitch. Bot came back with a vengeance. Bot created 6 Bot accounts on Twitter and started going after my enemies to get into my good graces. I don't know if that's exactly why she did it, but she did do that. And now we're friends, and now we're doing investigations together. I just want to say, people who act like little bitches when they get blocked on Twitter are doing it wrong. You need to come back and create 18 bot accounts and do investigations and research and do something productive with your time, and then we'll be friends. I'm just saying. It's not hard to not be a dick.
The dialogue within the policy itself is great, but it's only worth the paper that it's printed on unless it's put into action, right? So our discussion was more on how, first of all, how do we intentionally engage the parents that, a lot of their trust has been long gone. So how do we build that trust back, and how do we, as the real team, help you, and in turn help the community? It's, to me, accountability is holding you accountable. If you're going to say this is what we're going to do, then we have to have a system of checks and balances to make sure that these things are being done. It's our process. It's our engagement together. And not only that, but I know Mr. Tansley was talking about the fact that it can't be one-sided. Just because an individual may have a certain degree, a PhD, a doctorate, whatever it may be, doesn't mean that they have all the answers. And when you speak down to, especially if we look at the Rochester City School District, and if we look at the community that the school district serves, we need to speak to each other from a place of honesty, not from a place of educational prowess or where it can't be that way. So it has to be engagement and has to be, what would you like to see versus this is what we're going to do. And we just want you to come along for the ride and be a part of it. It's kind of like when people do that in the community, when people come into the 14621 area and they're like, oh, we're going to save you. And the people are like, well, did we ask for your saving? Like, why are you here? Oh, no, we're going to save you. Here's free food boxes. And here's the great, it's appreciated. But who invited you in and what makes you think that you're in a position to save us? Why not engage us?
I don't like this guy. This guy's going to be a problem.
So I think that was one of the biggest things that I took away from our conversation is really.
Actually, no, I think he's a useful idiot. I think he's actually like, I think he probably means well, but I think like.
Great. The ideas behind it are great, but how do we ensure that the relationship, the trust, that engagement, that actual partnership is there? And how do we create a system that ensures and checks that to make sure that we're moving the needle, that we're moving somewhere so that we're not here 10 years from now having the same conversation, trying to figure it out all over again.
Yes, Bot is absolutely correct. When the horde gets blocked, they become destroyers. You never want to become a destroyer. Destroying is going to harm you more than anything else in the long run. If you are a creator, you are giving value to the world, you're building things, you're helping people, you're coming from a place of love. Destroyers don't believe that they have value to give the world. They have a very low degree of self-worth. And because they don't believe they have value to give the world, they destroy the good work of other people. Do not ever become a destroyer. You are going to hurt yourself more than you hurt anyone else. You're going to try to hurt other people like Mike Harlow does all the effing time. You're going to try to hurt other people, but ultimately you will only and exclusively hurt yourself if you become a destroyer. Always become a creator. What value can I give to the world? When you become a creator, you will find other people who are creators.
Exactly. Love it. All right. Come on, team 3. I'm jotting down some notes so I can tie you guys together because I hear a lot of things that tie together.
I was just going to say that we put the part about establishing renewed trust with the Black and Brown community as well. So that seemed to be a resonating theme, reestablishing trust with the community. I think the recruitment, Mr. Mangione came up with a great suggestion, and the recruitment intention of using multiple means. The same as Mr. Jordan that was just speaking, in terms of how do we communicate within our community and access people and where they commune. We got to get to people in the neighborhoods and not coming to them from the standpoint of we're here to save you, but let them know what opportunities are available and engaging them and getting them involved. He came up with a community-based navigator. Mr. Mangione, can you speak to that some more? Are you there? Because Mr. Mangione.
Yeah, I apologize. Where were you at in that?
The community-based navigator.
Yeah, so in terms of the communication, not only the internal, external communications from the city school district, but actually having community-based navigators to actually go out into community to filter the communications that come from either the administration levels or the particular school district or the schools within those communities. Being able to have communication filtered in wherever people commune in public places, hospitals, perhaps churches, mental health facilities, substance use facilities, and other places where individuals may commune as well.
And we also indicated that in kind of mirroring what some of the stuff the city is doing in terms of the budget equity component of it, how we're looking at how folks are aligning their budgets to make sure that it reflects equity, diversity, and inclusion within.
He just said, collaborate with the city. Okay. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. It's on the Jamboard. It's on the last one. I don't know if you guys can see this. Collaborate with the city of Rochester to implement a budget equity plan. No. Red light, all alarm bells. Anytime you see them integrating equity into the budget, that is an alarm bell, my friends.
In the district, and being able to show and hold accountable folks for actually doing that work. So your budget
I don't like
is
this
based
guy.
on
This guy's going to be a
looking at
problem.
what our mission is, not your own particular goals. And here's the budget equity opportunity, and you need to align your what you're trying to do with equity, diversity, and inclusion, even before your budget is approved. I know the city has just adopted that, and there's a lot of other cities across the country that has that and been doing it for some time now. But the school districts haven't adopted that yet. And this is something that we think would be useful for a school district as well.
No. If you're budgeting based on equity, that means you're budgeting based on immutable characteristics. That's not cool, man. Not cool. That's literal racism. That is budgeting based on equity is literal systemic racism. Literal systemic racism.
Approach as well as more comprehensive approach to that would be for the especially and particularly the Rochester City School District to get in line with where the city is at, where the county is at, human service, the policing and other entities within the community to align as a comprehensive approach to public safety and the so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion as well.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I apologize. Mr. Monjone was finishing that up. Someone else was chiming in.
Yes, I have a question. Okay, I hear everyone throwing around the equity and inclusion.
This guy's a problem.
It looks to me that everybody in the room is okay. So equity would look different for someone who has food than from someone who does not have food. Mm-hmm. So how are we using the word equity when we're talking about
he's asking for a definition.
Context?
Excellent. I like this guy. I already like him.
We went to some
all of a sudden like him. What's the definition of equity?
In our community and asked them about equity, we're not really bringing any equity to it because we're not giving up anything that we have. And for anything to be equitable, somebody has to give up something. So are the people who are in power willing to give up some of that so that those who don't have will have some equity? I mean, if I'm sitting at
the quality of outcomes, that's Marxist. I don't like this guy again.
Power at the table, then I don't have any equity.
If I listen to what that guy just said. If I don't have any power at the table, then I don't have equity. Critical race theory is not about race. It is about power. The goal of the woke left are to gain as much power as possible by destabilizing the system so they can attack capitalism, so they can usher in a little Marxist utopia. It is all about power. What did he just say? If I do not have any power, then I do not have equity. He is a true believer. I appreciate that he is asking about the definition of equity, and I want to hear what they have to say. But he just gave himself away. Anytime you hear the word power, that is Marxism. You have to start just conflating these. And again, I want to emphasize, it's not as though the definitions are exact. They're not exact. We're conflating a lot of stuff for the sake of simplicity to be able to identify people quickly because I can't spend all night on this. Okay? So anytime you hear power, you're going to think Marxism. You need to think critical race theory. You need to think anti-racism. You need to think equity. You need to think social emotional learning. All of these things, for our intents and purposes here, you need to start thinking of all these things as the same. The goal of the woke left, gain as much power as possible, to destabilize the system, to attack capitalism, to usher in a Marxist utopia. Anytime you hear the word power, you need to think destabilizing the system, to attack capitalism, to usher in a Marxist utopia. All right?
And I'm thinking that, you know, we're using that word, but I don't know if we really understand what we're using it for and what it means.
Well, I'll tell you twofold, and Elizabeth can jump in if she has some commentary on this. And I definitely want group 4 to go so we can tie some things up. But I just want to say real quickly 2 things. One is, and I will send this survey to you guys as well, even though I think I have, but I'll make sure that I send it to everyone. We're currently, in my role as Executive Director of Equity, Inclusion, and Curriculum Program Audit, I am currently in pursuit of a common understanding of equity. And the manner in which I'm doing that is I'm asking people to look at the word equity and
this woman is smart.
An acronym that helps me to understand what equity means to them. Right?
This woman is so smart. This woman is not a true believer. Okay, Rochester, New York, to my utter shock and amazement, you might actually be okay. This woman is not a true believer. She's not. I knew I liked her. She is keeping these people in line. I knew it. Fucking math teacher. A math teacher. Maybe it's like the math that immunized her from this. But like, she is playing this game so well. I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm sure she's a leftist, but I'm a fan of this woman. I really am. I'm a fan.
What would the E be? What would the Q be? What would the U be? What would the I? What would the T? What would the Y? That allows me to get from a variety of stakeholders. And I have yet to send it out to our parent groups. Plaque leadership just recently got settled. And so I'm working with them on that and also getting it to our PTO groups. But a variety of stakeholders and our students to understand what equity means to you. In the meantime, there's research that tells us, one, equity is ensuring that every student gets what they need. Every family gets what they need to flourish, right? So we might not get the same thing.
She's walking a fine line.
And it's very possible that I don't have to lose anything for you to get what you need, because that's not necessarily something that I need.
I think I just fell in love with her. Oh my God. Oh. If all school equity directors were like this woman, I would have absolutely no problem with any of this. What did she just say that made me fall in love with her? She was like, it's not like everyone needs different things. Just because you might need something doesn't mean I have to sacrifice in order to give you that thing. She's talking about equality. She's not talking about equity. She's talking about equality. I love her. I cannot believe. Oh my God. Rochester, New York. You got it right, Rochester. Congratulations. Never, you keep this woman happy. You keep her in this position, Rochester. Oh my God. What a breath of fresh air from the amount of content that we have watched from like horrible people in different school districts. This woman is giving me hope. This is like a white pill moment for me. I really do mean that.
So when we think about everyone getting what they need in order to flourish, equity is a process and making sure that we engage in that process. But equity is also an outcome.
And you know what? She's guiding them.
We will no longer
okay,
be
that's
able
not
to
so good. But like, she's guiding them.
Based on race,
them.
Gender, zip code, socioeconomic status. When we truly have achieved equity, we'll no longer be able to predict who's going to have what, where, and when. Where right now, we can make some pretty strong predictions.
Okay, I don't like this outcome talk. I don't. But I think she's doing it to speak their language. I do not believe she's a true believer. Because she's very smart. She's playing the game. And so I'm not losing hope yet by all this outcome talk. I'm not. Because I think she's playing the game very, very, very well. And sometimes you have to play the game, guys. And sometimes we need to allow people the space to play the game. She's playing the politics game. She is very good at this. Good for her, man. Good for her.
For the next 5 years, who's going to turn out where based on the last 5 years data. And so I just want to be clear that it's twofold. We have definitions that we're working from based on research, and we are ensuring that we hear the voice of a variety of stakeholders to understand what equity means to them. So by the time we come, it's kind of like we're in this conversation, and at the same time, we have to be clear that everyone in the conversation is hearing and talking about the same thing. Because equity is in our vision and our mission statement for the Rochester School District.
And we don't want to lose the individuality of students as well, because, you know, we know that equal is not equitable, and that
we don't want to lose the individual. What alternate universe did I walk into that the Rochester, New York School District is actually doing this correctly? We don't want to lose the individuality of students. Exactly. Exactly. What alternate Twilight Zone is this? Wow. Okay. Okay, now we're talking.
every student doesn't come in with
I'm
the
so
same
glad we found this.
Resources or supports, or they might have more needs. So definitely looking at that as well.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add that our definition of equity related to education would be different from the equity that the city would be concerned dealing with community and civil, you know, and service in the work that they do. So it has to be, we can't solve everyone's problem. As a school district, we have to relate equity from, in my opinion.
I'm going to write an article about this. I'm going to be like, Rochester, New York.
As a district.
Well done.
And we can't do
well done, Rochester.
That the other agencies or other organizations are charged to do. And so equity for me would be specifically tied to what is it that your mission and your charges of your organization.
Right. And our policy says clearly that we are charged with eliminating disparities. Right. And that means some very intentional work that must be done. But I want to give Group 4 an opportunity to speak, because I think what they talk about is going to transition us nicely. And Elizabeth, I'm hoping we can flip segments and do our task force next.
I have absolutely no problem with eliminating disparities as long as it's not done by implementing overtly racist and discriminatory practices. Like in an ideal world, where people show up and they get the same opportunities, we should be eliminating disparities. That's the way it should work. But it's got to be grounded in a society. This is what I write about in my book. It's got to be grounded in a color indifferent society based on individualism and meritocracy. So make sure everyone has access to the same information. Make sure that everyone has access to the same opportunities. Those that work hard and show up get the job. That's all we're asking for. And in an ideal world where this stuff is implemented correctly, there really shouldn't be racial disparities, because white kids are not fundamentally more smart than black kids. They're not. Asian kids are not smarter than Latino kids. They're not. They just needed to be treated the same and given the same opportunity. So I have absolutely no problem with eliminating disparities as long as there is a focus on making sure individual needs are met. And that seems to be what they're doing, to my utter shock and amazement.
Next, because what this team was talking about is going to lead us right into that. So team 4. Come on, anybody in the group?
Maurice, go ahead.
Well, we kind of really covered a couple of things, really.
Yes, individuality is diversity. Yes.
We really talked about, you know, the real team being involved in high quality learning, which is one of the, you know, the 5 major areas. And we saw that that's one of the ways that the real team can really help, you know, our policy of, you know, equity and inclusion. And we were really looking at C which had to do with teaching and learning. So, you know, making sure you have a strong curriculum, make sure there's significant rigor in it for all. And, you know, if we are able to do that and reach all of the students where they are, you know, in terms of what their needs are, as Nicole mentioned, we will lift everybody, you know, and not just say some, or not just folks at the top ends, but the idea is to move everyone to higher levels. And one of the things we discussed that Renee brought about is that if we are really doing what we need to do as far as the curriculum and the classroom work, our scores on state exams should commensurately go up. You know, we should have more threes and fours than maybe we've had in the past. And those, you know, ones will go to twos, but we should see the scores go up as well, which should be an indicator of, you know, mastery of what's going on in the classroom. So we spent some time talking about that too, recognizing that this is a heavy lift, but we are talking about work that's going to be ongoing, you know, for years to come. But we've got to begin it now. And the idea is, okay, how can the real team help to impact all of this? And those are some of the things we chatted about.
One of the things I really love too that came out of your group. No, I'm sorry, Jackie, were you getting ready to say something?
Yeah, I was on mute and speaking.
No, you go ahead.
That we talked about the real team serving as an accountability partner with the district. Because it's one thing to say, you know, we have a policy and we want to adhere to it. And that the real team has an opportunity to work with the district to ensure that those recommendations are being upheld or implemented, and as well as issuing a report to the community so that there's transparency on what we say we want to do and how we're moving, and recognizing that a report to the community is not an I got you. It's an opportunity to, one, increase transparency and increase engagement with the community on what we're trying to do, but also understanding that we're starting at a place and the work is iterative. It's going to improve over time, but that we get there and build trust by focusing on accountability together.
And also comparing that disaggregated data, it also shows whether or not the curriculum is being followed in the classroom. Are the students receiving that curriculum at grade level? And if they're not, then there should be some correlation between the score that a student receives on their state exam and the actual classroom grade. They should be commensurate. So if you're getting an A in a class and you actually scored a 65, that means that there's something wrong with the picture, that you don't have information you need to actually pass that test. And so the curriculum hasn't been followed with fidelity, or else you would do better. And that will also say whether a student or our students are ready as far as being ready to their graduation, whether they are college and career ready, period.
And everything that we're talking about goes back to, in my mind, to what Mr. Max said, which was, we have to think about what is our main thing, right, as an education organization. And everything that this group was tasked to, because it was straight for teaching and learning. Teaching and learning is our main thing, right? Everything else that we engage in is in the service of teaching and learning. And what I also like that came out of this group is Ms. Turner was telling us that, the superintendent asked us to join the strategic task force teams, right? So high quality learning environments is one of those task force teams. And so if you're interested in seeing that data, for example, we just recently did a formative assessment with our scholars. So how can we bring that data to the table and see if the high quality learning environments are taking place? Group one talked about personal biases, right? When you're sitting in on those strategic task force teams, you're going to hear people's personal biases coming out. And we have to be the champions, not for making people feel bad. My sister says making people feel bad doesn't help them do good. But we're sitting in the room. And if we see personal bias
Don't do it. Don't do
actions of this organization, we got to speak up and say, you know, something to the effect of, that's your understanding, but do we have data that supports that? So that we don't have people's personal bias swaying the agenda, but we have factual information that is allowing us to guide the work of each of the task force groups. The other thing that came out was building trust.
I'll allow
and I
it.
love those community-based champions. I apologize. I know that's not the way he said it. It was the community-based navigators, right? We have a task force called Building Strong Communities. And the leader of that task force is on with us today, Ms. Kelly Briggs. And we're going to talk a bit about, you know, if that is what you're interested in, rebuilding the trust, making sure that the community is a part of all decisions, building those strong communities, another task force. We also talked about recruitment and retention, another task force that's actually broken down into two pieces, recruitment and retention, and also building capacity. So we'll show you guys, we have these task force that are guided based on the information that you pulled out of policy, which is where the strategic plan comes from, which is where our priorities come from, which is where the task force come from. So the real team plays an incredibly important part in making sure this policy comes to life by being active, vocal members on each of the strategic task force teams. And so Elizabeth and I have a document that we can share with you. I'm going to stop sharing so that Elizabeth, you can share, or I can share, either one.
Could I make a few comments, please?
Oh, please do. Please do.
Just kind of a reminder, right? We're the racial equity advocacy leadership team, and all of this work is supposed to revolve around individual, institutional, and structural racism. Just an observation. Tonight, I've heard the word racism once. It came from Fred Tanksley, and he said he was talking about it in the context that racism will continue as long as there are no consequences.
He's trying to pull it back.
Just an observation, but I think
don't let him.
Point.
Don't let him do it.
I'm listening very, very intently, and I'm hearing about test scores and disparities in general, and individuals, and accountability in general, and transparency in general, curriculum in general. And then I'm hearing that the major task of this organization is teaching and learning. But the major task of this team was to impact teaching and learning as it relates to racism.
This guy's trying to sabotage this whole thing. Don't listen to him. What is her name? What is her name?
So I'm just making observations.
Nicole.
Mr. Jordan said,
don't listen to him,
10
Nicole.
years from now, we don't want to be
Don't take the bait, Nicole. You're doing so good, Nicole. Don't do it.
I'm relatively new to this. I can tell, Mr. Jordan, and some of you know this. We had this conversation 10 years ago. We had this conversation 20 years ago.
Go, Nicole.
The language changed slightly, but we had the same fundamental conversation 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and nothing
don't derail this. No,
fundamentally nothing has changed.
Don't do it.
I'm just sensing a disconnect. So we talk about the task forces, right, and how important they are. Apparently, even the leader of the Building Strong Communities Task Force has changed. We were told it was a Mr. Hurley. We haven't heard a word from Mr. Hurley. I just heard you say it's Ms. Briggs. We're
Howard
anxious
is like,
to go to work.
this is not enough of a struggle session. This is not what I'm used to. Don't let him derail you, Nicole.
Going out in this community about building
we believe in you, Nicole.
With the Rochester City School District. Our understanding is something is happening at East High School later this week. Something is happening.
This is like the most suspenseful thing I've ever seen.
But if you asked Ms. Haynes, you asked, how can this team help? Nobody said a word to us about anything. So I'm wondering if you
don't
really
buy into the struggle session, Nicole. I believe in you.
I just wanted to make those observations, and I'm done. But I'm sensing a real disconnect in terms of the original charge of this team.
Mr. Eagle.
Impact racism as it relates to teaching and learning.
Mr. Eagle?
Yes.
Mr. Eagle, I am very sorry. I spoke to the superintendent before she left because she gave her report, but she did not talk about the East High School event. And we are planning that and out of come on, help me, Maurice, out of HR. And that event is occurring. And you know, I'm listening to you make a salient point tonight about the disconnect, because but what I want to hear from you, I'm gonna tell you about the East High thing, but what I really want to hear from you is, what are your suggestions to make that connection happen?
Yes.
Because you're the expert on some of this stuff. And I'd like to hear.
That's
how you
really
feel that it
smart.
can be
She's bringing him
be
along.
connected.
She's like,
there are two areas that we're coming together to talk
she's
about.
being very
and it's
smart. You guys might,
employment,
she's like, I'm going to
opportunities
reel
the
you in,
district,
honey.
because there are so many
It's going to be okay.
employment opportunities that we need help with. And also the violence prevention. And so a group of people, I've pulled together a group of people to really make sure that we begin to talk about just those two areas. I mean, there are.
I hope people who don't understand how to play office politics are paying really close attention to what's happening in this. This is fascinating. I'm so glad we watched this, because this woman right here and our hero Nicole, our base hero Nicole, who is like, she's maybe a leftist, but she's not bought into any of this shit. And you can tell, like, if you're really paying attention, these two women are like reeling these people. They are playing the game so well. You've got to take a soft approach. Listen, you don't want to be a bulldog like me when you're in situations like this. And I would not be the same kind of like bulldog that I am like on YouTube sometimes, or like on Twitter or all that stuff. Like if I was in a situation like this, you got to play it slow. You got to slow it down. You got to make someone believe you're on their side, even if you disagree with them, and you just got to gently nudge them in the direction you want them to go. This is an example in how to play office politics. You're the expert. You're so smart. What are the things that you would have us do? What are the suggestions? Like, so smart. I hope everyone who works in an office is taking notes from these two women right now, because this is brilliant.
Slew of things that we can talk about, but that's a start. So everybody is invited. I'm sorry, Nicole, I know you, I can see you want to give.
No.
Everyone is invited. I'm sorry. Everyone is invited to come to that event. And it is on Thursday, the 9th. It's at East High School from 10 to 12. And all of the bigger players in this district and the city will be there to begin to talk about a call to action. Each one teach one. I mean, each one reach one. Because it's time for us to start doing something instead of talking about it. It's time to come off a paper and actually start taking action. So I don't want to take up all the time, but she said that we should share that.
Yeah. So I just want to say two things that I heard Mr. Eagle making clear points about. One is, and I do apologize about this, Mr. Eagle and Mr. Tanksley, because I believe you both signed up for this strategic task force. Dan Hurley was co-chairing with Kelly Briggs, and she's here with us, so she can speak to that in a moment. But he recently told me that she's taking the lead. And so that's why we've now switched the name from Dan Hurley to Kelly Briggs. I also heard Mr. Eagle saying that there are things happening in the community that we're planning, but the Building Strong Communities team hasn't met, so that they haven't had their opportunity to have the voices in those planning sessions. And so if I'm reading that wrong, please let me know. The other thing I want to make clear is that as we disaggregate data, race will not be able to be ignored. Right? As we disaggregate data around
She's playing this so smart
to do, as we disaggregate data around teaching and learning as we have begun to do, and we bring that data to this table.
What she's doing that is really smart is she's not buying into his premise. She's not buying into the place where she came from, but what she's trying to say is the concerns you have will be spoken to. And that's really what he cares about. That's really what he wants. He wants his concerns to be spoken to. He wants to feel as though he has been heard, understood, and considered within the context of what is going on. This is how you create buy-in. She didn't buy into his premise. Neither of these women bought into his premise, but they were like, your concerns, the things that you actually care about, we have those in mind. You don't need to worry. And what she's making him do is she's going to make him feel safe in the context of this decision so that he doesn't feel, he doesn't feel like he's been completely dismissed. Brilliant, brilliant. Well done. Really, really well done.
And really examine it. There's no way that we're going to be able to ignore racial disparities. And so one of the teams brought out that we need to disaggregate data in order to have this race conversation in a very poignant way, because it can't be dismissed when the numbers are telling us, and we know that years have told us what these issues are. And there's activity happening around right now in terms of hiring and trying to balance those disparities. What's happening with our students? Equity isn't happening because of the racism that we're talking about. That's one of the levers that's keeping us from achieving equity. So I definitely hear what Mr. Eagle is saying. In my mind, it's all very related, but yes, sir, we cannot lose focus on the fact that racial equity is what this team and racial equity advocacy leadership team is about. But I promise you, there's no way to disaggregate data and ignore race. There's no way to get to equity and ignore race. You have to deal with both head on. And so, no, Dr. I was about to say Dr. Campbell.
One last
so I'll give it to Renee and then.
One last thing on that, on the event that's coming up on the 9th, Thursday, is that St. John Fisher has, because Mr. Eagle brought it up, St. John Fisher has taken on the task of allowing us to come there to begin this work and to begin to really plan this work, because we're going to build a consortium of agencies and of community people who will began to take action. That it's not, it's going to be action based. So it's a call to
this was supposed to be 20 minutes. I knew this was going to go over time. It's supposed to be 20 minutes long.
So go ahead.
I just wanted to make one observation about the event on the 9th, that because of the timing, that it kind of excludes a lot of parents from being able to come. So I know there's no perfect balance for that, but I just wanted to make that acknowledgement.
But what will happen is that once it gets started, parents are going to be included in that. And you're right, the parents it's going to make it difficult for them to come to that event. But right. It's just the way that it was planned, and the timing and what have you.
Right. It's hard. It's hard to get right. It's just hard to make that balance. So I definitely understand that. But one thing, I do agree that in order to actually, if we're moving forward, that language is intentional.
Yes.
And that maybe one of the things that we want to take upon ourselves as a group is to always be make sure that language is inclusive.
Yes.
So that is it. Because you can end up with something very different if you're not intentional about what it is we're trying to address.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with that. We could make sure that is.
Yes, I agree with that as well, because I heard Mr. Eagle clearly that we're not talking about the racism that is pervasive and is keeping us from achieving the equity, the racial equity specifically that we're trying to achieve. I did want to give Ms. Briggs an opportunity if she would like to talk about how the Building Strong Communities Task Force is connected to these community events, if at all, and then how those who are interested, and also make sure that I'm right about the adjustment in terms of Dan Hurley being the contact person. And then how is the Building Strong Communities connected to the community events? And then how do we get those who are interested, who have contacted Mr. Hurley, at the table with you guys?
Greetings, everybody. I'll put my email in the chat for you. So what it was last year, me and Dan were the co-facilitators of the team, but I kind of just led the team, kind of was the facilitator for it. But I'm going to put my email address in here first for anyone that's interested in being on this task force. And then I want to share my screen with you to kind of go through what we're doing. So it's kellymonique.briggs@rcsdk12.org if you're interested in being part of the Build Strong Community Task Force. And so what I'm going to do is just go through some of the plans, things.
Okay, this is good. I'm glad we're going through this. I want to see this.
To get to the different parent meetings, talk with parents. We want to talk with our community. We don't want, and what we did last year with our team, we didn't want our team to be a team where we go ahead and make the decisions. We wanted to have a community, different organizations being part of it. So we focused a lot last year on asset mapping, identifying the assets in our communities.
I don't have a problem with this.
This summer, we went to Bay and
this actually looks okay.
Met with the community to talk to the community about some of the things they wanted. And we found that it was very valuable actually hearing from our folks. And one of the things that we found, you see different things on the news media, but everybody loves the community that they live in. They have a lot of love for their community, their neighbors. The thing is that what came up a lot at our meeting was job opportunities. And we didn't think that was going to come out of it, but that came up. Majority of the conversations where everyone was saying that we're just having a difficult time trying to find jobs. So we came up with an idea, and I know that's something in the future I would refer with Miss Renee Turner with, because I did talk to Chris Miller last year, but doing something where we could bring
this is a really great point.
To a neighborhood.
This is a really great point. They want parent engagement. They want to work with families. I fucking love Rochester, New York. I really, truly had no idea this was the way this was going to go. You know what? You know what it is? I cannot believe these words are about to leave my mouth. It's because there are Black women leading this. It's because there are not liberal white women in these positions, that these women are actually they know what's up. That's why this is going well, because they're all Black women that are leading it. It's not the liberal white bougie women that are feel bad for red white fragility. These women actually want to do real. I may disagree here and there on nitpicky points, but I have no problem with any of this. I really don't. They want families involved. That's the way it should be.
To several neighborhoods. That's what one of the parents was saying to us. So just trying to see what it is that our community members want and how we can partner together, because that's the goal of this team. We have two things that we focus on with this team: how to provide family and community engagement, and how to partner with businesses to support that. So what we did this year, we spent, like I said, a lot of time on asset mapping, and we broke up into teams. And everybody that was on the team basically lived in the different zip codes. And we focused on our top 5 zip codes when it comes to our chronic absenteeism. And so on those teams, everybody looked at, okay, so what's some stores in those neighborhoods? And we thought about, okay, if it's the store owner, that's an entrepreneur. They could come into our schools and talk to the kids about owning your own business, about budgeting.
Yes!
But they could also offer parents workshops on budgeting. So we wanted to look at and identify those assets in our community for how we can bring them into our schools.
Oh my God.
Now is
I apologize to this lady from earlier. I was wrong about her. I was wrong.
So if it's a school and they have a student that lives in the 14621 zip code, we're putting together a 14621.
This makes me so happy. I want to cry right now. I'm so happy.
Lesson, okay, let me open up and see who in this particular zip code that I can pull from to ask them to come in and talk to our kids about whatever it is we're doing in our classrooms. Can I pull from our parents? We have a lot of parents that have different skills. For example, we had a parent that owns a restaurant.
These are my
parent could
ideas
come
in
in and teach you
action.
about the
Oh,
cuisine they're doing.
these are
They
my
could also
ideas.
teach some classes, recipes, measurement, different things. So we're trying to really work with this team, you know, embodying building a strong community where we're actually pulling from that community. So we love to have ideas from our different members. So this year, to take it and continue on with the work, what we wanted to do was break into these 3 subcommittees: build strong schools, build a strong family and community university, build strong active family and community engagement. So I'm gonna start at the bottom one first. So what we wanna do is just what Mr. Eagle was talking about, is finding out what different things are going on in our community. And instead of trying to recreate the wheel, which we do a lot, partner with them, join in what they're doing. Instead of always trying to go and do something different, how can we partner with you? Because a lot of times, I'm gonna be honest with you, we can learn from our community. We can learn from the elders, from the people in our community. So that's what we want to do, is start to partner and to actually hear people. So say if, you know, the neighborhood association is having a meeting, we talked with Daisy Ogburn and she sent us a list of all the neighborhood associations. We want to start going to those different things. And when we go to those things, actually sit and see how can we partner. Okay, if we're at this particular neighborhood association, what schools are connected to that neighborhood association? So it's a number of things for this. And you'll see here, what we have is just some basic things, the purpose of it, and sample activities. We don't want to go in having a made up mind already. We want to have all the people that come to the table, we work on this together. Then we have Build Strong Family and Community University, where we want to start offering different workshops, parents, for youth, for the community, for staff, where again, we pull from the resources in our district, inside our district, and offer from different locations. Say at our centers. You know, I met with Kendra Hale from there. They're willing to allow us to offer some courses at our centers. We partner a lot with Rock the Future. Ms. Campbell has done a lot with us in different organizations, but I know Rock the Future has done a lot with us. So pulling from the different people and bringing them in to teach different courses, and then build strong schools. And you see here, we want to focus a lot on a whole child. Then after school and enrichment, school environment, atmosphere, affirmations. A lot of times we go into our schools and it's kind of sad, not sad, but it's not really where you see those affirmation statements. You know, where our kids, we got to speak life into them. And so we want to actually start working with our different schools, starting with administration, bringing in the alumni. Even our elementary schools have alumni. Doing a tour of the campus and taking our district and our community people together to see how can we help work with the school. And we said that one of the first schools that we wanted to focus on is Franklin. We know that Franklin.
We'll do Rochester, Minnesota next. We thought our problem child was going to be Rochester, New York, but they're actually really great.
And
they're actually really great.
We found they have one of the special education classes. They have a cafe, a Franklin cafe, which most people don't even know about, because when you think of Franklin.
I just want to say, I always thought it was a little bit racist to put Black people in charge of equity in like school districts. I was like, you're just putting them in charge of equity because they're Black, and that's kind of racist and wrong. But now I'm completely in favor of it. I'm like, you know when we did that with that woman from the Cambridge schools, Dina Simmons, and she did this presentation where she was like, Black queer women need to lead, and I was like, no, Dina, that is racist. I am now completely in favor of letting Black women lead. Can we put Black women in charge of all except for Dina Simmons? She's not allowed. But like, can we if we filled Dina Simmons is legitimately insane. We're not putting her in the she's a fucking socialist, okay? But like these women, I have no problem with any of these women. I don't think they're socialists. I think they're doing a good job. No, we want all Black women except for Dina to lead. We just don't. It's not because she's Black, it's because she's a socialist. Yes, put Black women math teachers in charge of everything. God, this is so refreshing.
You never really hear positivity, but we wanted to start working with our different schools, especially at Franklin First. So these are just some of the things that the Build Strong Community Task Force will start doing. We already, again, looking to see, being here at the Real Team, coming to present to you all to see if you all want to get, join us. And so again, when we have these different meetings, we're partnering with Mrs. Turner and her team. December 9th, will be there to support that. will be there December 18th.
Isn't it different
for
to
our
watch
community
something
action
like
initiative
this from
meeting.
people who
So
are
these
like
different
not
things that we're
insane?
doing as a task force.
Doesn't this have
Then
a
we were
different
talking
feel?
about
Doesn't it
when
have a
to
different
have our
vibe?
meetings.
This is
And as we
completely
were talking
different.
to different parents and different ones, a lot of people were saying that, have you thought about Saturdays? Because we've been trying to do the meetings on
I like how they
Mondays
get
twice a
the
month.
community
But what
involved too.
happens
This is
is
good.
a lot of
This is
people have
really
different
good.
meetings on Mondays. We think about parents. If we want
Oh
parents
my
to be there,
God.
a lot of times we're gonna need to have a meeting at like 6 or 6:30 to ensure they can come. So we're really, and we've been talking about possibly doing it on Saturdays, once or twice
There's
a
no
month.
yelling. There's no
So
screaming.
thank you for that, Kelly. I just wanted to quickly note
None of
what
them have played victim
Jackie Campbell put in the
except for
chat,
Howard. Howard
and
had a
that is
moment.
back
That's
to
okay.
Mr. Eagle's point around making sure that even in that
They
document,
are
it is highlighted
inspiring.
that
Yes, this
racial
is how it
equity
should
is the
be.
focus. We wanted to also
No
give
victims.
those who have
No, Howard. No, no,
Yes, sir.
no,
Yes, sir.
Howard.
To Ms.
No.
Briggs. I just want to make sure I understand what I just heard.
Mhm.
What I think I heard is that the Building Strong Community Task Force has already been working, has already been making decisions.
We started last year. We started
Okay.
last year.
So this is news, right? This
Yes.
is news.
No
We're just
scary
now
eyes.
being asked,
No
actually
crazy.
about 2 months ago now, to join
Howard,
a task
stop
force.
making
That
trouble,
if you want to
Howard.
be really a part of making the real team come alive, join a task force. That's where the work is going to take place. This was 2 months ago. So 4 of us.
Howard is a
We had
curmudgeon.
some people
I don't
from
think
the
he's
task
mean.
force
I think
last
he's a
year.
curmudgeon.
I just want to make sure
Okay.
that I understand what's going on. 4 of us, myself, Minister Florence, Mario, and Fred, asked about 2 months ago to join this task force. And I'm hearing, I just want to make sure I'm clear. I'm hearing you say, as co-chair, you didn't know that.
Howard is causing trouble. He's being
I
a
didn't.
curmudgeon.
So that's amazing. You see, that speaks
But
to.
we did
that's-
have.
Stop having a bad
No,
attitude,
that's all
Howard.
I wanted. Thank
Okay,
you.
we had 2 people from the task force that were on it last year from the real team. I don't think they're on it this
Kelly
year.
is doing a good
So
job.
we did have 2 members last year from the real team that were on our team. It was.
But, I mean, that's irrelevant in terms of what I'm talking about. I
no,
don't
I'm
I don't
just
mean
saying
to be
because
rude,
you
Don't
but
said
be
I'm not
like
rude
Howard.
about that. I'm trying to tell you something.
Yeah, they
and I'm still not
probably
sure if
don't
you're
want
hearing me.
Howard on the task
I'm
force.
hearing
He's
you.
having
There
a
are
bad
4 of us
attitude.
who asked to join this task force about
See,
2
this
months
is
ago.
why.
And you
This is why Howard right now is giving us an example of why I yell at conservatives who have a bad attitude in my feed, because it brings everything else down. It brings everything else. It brings the good work of everyone else down, and it is unnecessary. Howard is accomplishing nothing right now by being a negative Nelly because he's disappointed that he wasn't asked to be on this task force 2 months ago. Don't do this shit. It pisses people off. It annoys people. You get a reputation. I mean, like, they've reached out to Howard. They're trying to bring him in. Like, I want Howard to come around. I feel really inspired by this. Okay, let's keep
don't
going.
even know it. So I'm talking about disorganization. That's what I'm. That's the
No,
point I'm
Howard,
trying to
there's
drive
no
home, is,
disorganization.
right? We
You're just
can't-
feeling
Are
slighted.
we
Come on.
serious?
Yes.
I'm hearing you loud and clear, Mr. Eagle, and I'm surprised that she
And
didn't
she's
know,
like-
because I was told specifically that the names that Mr. Hurley received, he passed along. So we'll deal with our internal, as you said, miscommunication, because that really should not
Yeah.
be the case.
Exactly. Maybe
It
that's
really
why
should not
Howard
be the
wasn't
case.
asked.
One of the
Thank,
things I
thank you,
wanted
Mel.
to
Maybe
I
there's
didn't
a
mean to be
reason for
rude. I just want
this.
to be clear. Thank you
Howard,
all.
I'm sure
Good
you're a
night.
very nice
One of the things I
guy.
wanted to ask Kelly is, have you ever considered, can you hear me? I don't know if y'all can.
I hear you.
Oh, have you ever considered doing the Zoom for parents? Because it seemed to work, like for when they have parent meetings and all that kind of stuff. You know, if there was a way that you could kind of like consider parents, meeting with parents on Zoom on a Saturday or in the evening or what have you. It's just a thought that just came in my mind. It doesn't mean that we have to do that, but it's just a way of communicating that at least, you know, you can get to parents, because it's hard to, you make a point, it's hard to get to parents like on the meeting for Thursday, you know, getting a good time. But if you had some kind of Zoom going and parents knew about it and it was organized, I'm just using that as an example, That might be one way, just one way that we could communicate with parents on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, that's
So
a great
why
idea.
would you?
God, I just wanted to interject. That's a great idea to do that because we have been doing the meetings via Zoom, all of them. But like I said, we found that the weekdays it's just challenging. So, trying to do Saturdays via Zoom, that is an option for us, which we probably will do because we want to make sure that
I like Kelly now. I do. I didn't like her at first. I thought she was a true believer. I was wrong.
We were just
no, I don't like him.
And I brought up about equity and inclusion, but the meeting
don't do it, Fred.
Thursday, I heard Ms. Turner say that they're going to put everything together and then have the community. But see, that's the point. Is that the parents should be at the table on the onset of whatever is going on. Whatever is being driven, they should be
I
at
agree
the
with
table
this in theory
before anything
but he's
is
still
put
causing
on the
trouble
table.
and I don't like it.
Not after you done put
even
a
though
table.
I agree
That's
with
like
him.
saying, okay, I'm inviting people
He's having
to
a bad
dinner, but I
attitude
didn't
and I don't
ask
like it.
anybody, do you have any allergies? I haven't asked anything. I'm putting the food out on the table and say, okay, all right, everybody come. But now I'm not including everybody because there's some people that can't eat certain foods. I didn't ask anybody. I just made that assumption.
That's not true. You're putting out a wrong conception because the parent groups are invited. The leaders in the
Renee's
parent
had
groups
enough.
are invited.
Renee's
This
like,
is a
I've got no
first-time
more F's to give with
opportunity
this.
for the community to come together.
I'm gonna tell you what's what,
I'm
Fred.
sorry that you don't agree with what's going on. But however, parents are included in this process.
I wish I
and the
had this
parent
type of
groups
resource
are
available when
invited.
I was doing
Now,
my PhD. It would have explained
that's
so
the
much.
bottom line.
I wish I'd had access
when
to
you
secret
say when we
meetings.
say the parents, who are we talking about? Because I don't think anybody
put him in his place, Renee.
When I get off
wrong.
this Zoom, I'm gonna go knock on the doors of the parents on my street and ask them, do they know about what you just said?
There's no way that we could have all of the parents on your street. I mean, in the whole district come to this meeting. But when it's going to be advertised.
I'm saying, do they know about it? It's happening on Thursday. Here it is Monday. Now you're saying it's going to go out when? If we're going to be serious about adding this for parents and the community, then we got to be serious about it.
It's so
and
funny.
this is the problem
the
that I
men in
have.
this are
People
acting
with
like
master's
women. The
degrees
women
and
in this are acting
PhDs
like
think
men.
that they can make the decision for people and their kids. But at the same time, you all who have kids who have these
you
degrees
are being
definitely
disruptive.
would not want me to make decisions for your child without your say-so.
That's exactly the sentiment that we need. Certainly, I cannot.
I don't agree with you on that because you could make decisions
like,
for my.
no,
I think
Fred,
the point that he's making, Renee, is a point that we have to take.
I want to point something out here. Okay, Nicole is still trying to rein Fred in. Nicole is like, she's like, I'm gonna get you, Fred. I'm gonna get you. Nicole is still playing the game. Renee has had enough. Renee has had enough of Fred's bullshit. And she's like, no, Fred, I'm gonna tell you what's what. And Nicole's like, no, Renee, we're playing the game. This is like one of the best examples of office politics I've ever seen in my life. This is amazing. I love this. This is okay. I might be like a nerd about stuff like this because it's like the organizational psychology part of me, but I love watching. I used to sit in on so many meetings that went exactly like this, and I'd be like the person sitting in the corner just watching all the dynamics of these offices like play out in front of me, and I would like, this is how I got so good at disc profiles because I knew the disc profiles of everyone in the room, and I'd be like, okay, that person's gonna say that person's gonna say that. This is amazing. It's like it's seriously like being a spy in like a secret meeting. I love this stuff. I don't know if you guys are entertained by this, but I'm entertained. Mount the like button if you are entertained by this.
We have to take seriously that there's an event happening on Thursday that has not been widely publicized. I have to be honest, I'm just learning about it tonight myself as a parent and an employee of the district. And, you know, we have to get to a point where we can have these kinds of honest conversations, similar to the one that Mr. Eagle was
You
pushing.
are giving the wrong impression, because that meeting was set up. However, I was told.
You can tell
who
how
to
well
invite
Renee played it
and
earlier
who
now,
not
because she's
to.
like had enough. She's like,
I-
nope.
It was not supposed
like,
to be. I'm not even going to try and defend myself.
No,
or
no,
defend
no, because I don't mean it as blame.
Because what's going to happen is excellent. It's good. It's good for the community. It's building partnerships. It's a beginning. And so we need to do that. And so but if you don't know about it, then you will know about it as of tomorrow, because that's
she's like, Fred, the invitation is going to go out. Okay.
This is not.
We have to be willing to hear Mr. Tanksley, as one of our parents and community members, say that that's not enough time.
But I don't have a problem with what Mr. Tanksley said, because I agree with him, and I have agreed with a lot
she's
of
come
stuff
back
that
round.
he says and agree. But you know, everything doesn't happen all at once. You have to things happen and they come. It can be improved on. So, Mr. Tanksley, you come to that meeting because you'll have one of the points is to give the community voice in the district that they haven't had, giving them voice in deployment, giving them voice in how things are happening with kids in the schools and what have you. So please do come so that you can have a voice and you can express your sentiments, because they'll be well received.
Just had one question. Is this the beginning of a series of meetings, or is this a one-time event? Or
no, it's a series, and it's going to in January the 7th. We'll be out at St. John Fisher, and from that point there will be a continual series of meetings addressing the issues and needs that we have.
And I think to Mr. Tanksley's point and to Ms. Haynes' point, is this is something that we've been discussing for years on the Real Team. How do we make our information available to parents so they can have it ready access to it? I mean, you can't email. I mean, even if you have just a place where we can go. We had talked about an electronic board or anything that we can have where parents can go and see what's going on, and whether it's a calendar. We've talked about putting a menu out of different things that we're going to be doing, so they have access to that. Anybody has access to be able to go and see.
Howard is a pot stirrer. He is.
First time I heard about it, but maybe I'm not supposed to.
Fred is a pot stirrer as well. This guy's fine. I don't mind this guy at all. This guy's fine.
Making sure we're more transparent and getting this information.
I think his name is Josh. I
this
think that's what I see.
This is the first time for this event, and I don't know who planned it, but whatever the case may be, I can't make it because of time frame, right? A lot of parents can't make that time frame. So we do have to do something that's going to be convenient to parents, right? So I hope that the ongoing meetings will take that in consideration, right? So if you can put the calendar out, you know, this is what's going to be happening.
This guy's a man.
Team from another district, right?
He
and
knows
we already have
up.
our calendar for the year.
Exactly.
Of what the things that the parents can choose to be a part of and be involved, you know? So I get the point. We got to be a little bit more organized and strategic in how we communicate these events to the community and the parents. Sorry, that's all about that.
For just two things with the 8 minutes that we have left. One is Jackie Campbell asked a question in the chat. Were parents involved in the planning of this event?
I say any parents.
Any parents, I apologize.
I love that they're asking if parents are involved.
This event, I'm gonna tell you, it has evolved out of, it was supposed to be one thing and now it's just skyrocketed to something else. And it's a beginning. And what's going to happen is that everybody is going to be included.
Renee's like,
and it's not
we're doing the best
exclusionary
we can.
process.
Okay.
It's a beginning to allow people to have a voice. And so if you want
we're doing our best, Howard.
That's fine.
But no, I just want to be clear. I want to be clear.
That's my point.
Oh, sorry.
My point is that if you want to tear it up, fine. But if you want to improve on it and make it happen, because one person can't think of everything. That's just like what Miss Briggs is going through. She showed that nice her screenshot.
This is how it should work everywhere.
There's so many people that are needed to make all of that she put
White
down on her
pill
screen happen.
mother
There are so many
effers.
people that are needed to
She is
improve on what
reassuring.
is going to happen on the 9th. So if you want to bring something to the table, bring it to the table so we can improve on it and make great things happen in this district for our kids, because we
I am
need it.
so happy
So
that there
with
is
that
still
last,
functional
I'm sorry,
environments.
Jackie, go ahead, go ahead.
I really
No,
didn't
I'm
think
sorry.
this existed anymore.
I think that's
I'm
a,
so
a
happy
good
right now.
suggestion, because the work, we're learning and we're improving as we go along, right? And so as we move forward, my recommendation would be, how do we engage parents at the outset? Like, parents should be involved. When we first sit down and start saying we're going to do something, a parent should be there, or a parent representative. And that's the way we are going to be transparent and inclusive.
Yes.
So it's an opportunity to learn to do that as we move forward. That was my only point.
And I think that's the same point that Mr. Tankson was making, is that we do need the hands, we do need the minds, we do need a concrete, systemic way for ensuring that parents don't get to the table when the table's already set.
And shouldn't that be coordinated through the Office of Parent Engagement? I mean, I thought that was the place where all of the, I mean, you may create an event, Ms. Turner or Ms. Haynes, or Dr. Haynes, you guys may create an event, but the Office of Parent and Dr. Biggs, Office of Parent Engagement is responsible for actually pushing that out to parents in the community.
I am working with Parent Engagement. Their director has been out sick or out for a couple of days. And so I did have the opportunity today, because she came in, but going back out, she's sick, to get the information I needed to make that happen.
Technically, we do have parent engagement at the table. Ms. Briggs has her hand up, so she'll chime in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're doing, and I appreciate being part of meetings like tonight. What we did do for the task force, we did have some parents in there, and we also had students.
I prejudged this one too quickly, and I feel bad about that.
It was based.
I do. I should not have judged her like that.
Our staff members were parents as well, and are from our different communities and zip codes. We were very intentional about that. And moving forward, after having several meetings with parents, students, focus groups, different things, this is how we came up with the idea about those different subgroups. But like I said, we're not trying to go ahead and plan it. We want to make sure that we bring the parents in based on the things that we've had from them, but sit down and we plan it together. And I know with what Mrs. Turner is doing, we did meet, and that is always going to be the next step. And with Office of Parent Engagement, that's what we're looking to do, is to make sure. That's why we go to our plaque meetings, which I'm getting ready to go to after this, talking to our different parent groups and having them at the table, because they've said that. And that's why, like, even with the Community Action Initiative meeting, that's going to be coming up. We moved that date back because we wanted to make sure before we made any plans that parents were at the table. But also, too, we didn't want that to interfere with what's going on December 9th. And we don't want people to be confused about, is this the same thing as this or that? We wanted to make sure, because we know that with parents, a lot of times, we got to make sure we explain things to them. And that's the thing that we really are working on. So I do appreciate it. Mr. Tankson, I definitely would like to talk with you offline. But in the Office of Parent Engagement, that's one of the main things doing, is having parents from the jump start at the table to hear what they have to say, to get their input and make sure that we're actually doing it. Because a lot of times we say we're going to do it, but we don't do it. But what we're really working towards is
I love her. I was wrong about Kelly. I apologize, Kelly. I was wrong.
I see Mr.
I was
Monjohn's
wrong.
hand.
We're almost done, by the way. I'm
Let's let him
finishing this.
chime
I'm just
in
enjoying this at this point. I'm
before we
enjoying
run
it.
out of
4
time.
more
This
minutes.
event on Thursday, is it now currently posted on the district website, on social media, or any other platforms currently?
The communications department, they're working on it, and it should be posted tomorrow. They have not posted it. They're working on the communications of it right now as we speak. I spoke to them this evening, so it will be coming out tomorrow.
The other question is there a Zoom option for parents that can't be in person as well?
I can ask about that, and we'll see. And if it is, Mr. Mack had asked that the parents can, that there is a place where parents can look online or on the website to see events that are going on from this organization. Do you remember that, Mr. Mack? You had that done. So
Oh yeah.
go ahead.
Mr. Reyes put that in the.
Try to make every effort to make sure that it happens. Okay, so again, it's a beginning, and there should be only one organization, not 2 or 3. That's why I went to Ms. Briggs and talked about what's going on, because we have to work as a team to make everything happen in this district, and everybody is on the same team so that the same message is going out all over.
So we only have about 30 seconds left, and I want to be
Oh,
respectful
thank
of
God.
everyone's time. We
Thank
really
God.
did master. We got 75% of our agenda done, which I think is great. The only part that we didn't talk about tonight that was on the agenda was the feedback that you all gave us when you filled out the feedback survey. So what we'll do is we will share that feedback with you so that you can digest it in preparation for our next Real Team meeting. And so, you know, if we're going to highlight something, and then Ms. Reyes will give us the final closing, is that our strategic planning teams are a great location for us to invest our time and energy, because it will allow us to have some great impact. Conversations like this, but also being at those tables and saying, well, wait a minute, you know, this is already planned and we weren't there. Like, we need to hear that. Like, that's not taken as a negative. It's not taken, we need to hear the truth in order for us to get better. James Baldwin says that not everything can be changed, but everything that you face, you have to face it first in order to change it. So, Ms. Reyes, you want to give us our final salud?
Sure. I just wanted to share with everyone, our next meeting is February 7th. So you'll get this information before the feedback. But our next meeting is on.
All right, that's it. That's basically it. Guys, can we give a hearty round of applause, unexpected applause, to the Rochester, New York School District for doing this correctly? I don't have, I can nitpick here or there. Okay, I can nitpick, I really can, but I'm not going to, because overall, I have the problems I have with Rochester, New York, pale in comparison to basically every other school district that I've seen doing this. I don't agree with everything they're doing, but I agree with probably 90% of it, and that's fine. That is fine. They're doing a good job. They are doing a good job. They're working well together. They're involving parents. They're not talking about, even though they're talking about culturally responsive teaching, like, I'm going to let it slide. I really am, because I think there can be a place for that when there are sane people involved. The problem is most of the time there are not sane people involved, but I actually have trust that there are sane people involved. Yes, and I wanted to display some on the screen. Yes, Sin is clapping, Reagan is clapping, John Morgan is clapping, Josh is good, Deborah is good, Judy's clapping, Kazmar is clapping. Yes, we loved it. It was refreshing. Kira's clapping, Grandma Nay's clapping, James Jones is clapping. It was sane. Yes, we're doing a clap. We're doing a slow clap. Rochester, I didn't expect it, Rochester. I really didn't. You're uber woke. I know you. I've been there before. I've been there many times. You're really effing woke. But where Rochester got it right is they put Black women in charge. That's where they got it right. They put Black women in charge. I firmly believe this. All of the women were great. Nicole was great. Nicole knows how to play this game. Renee was not taking any shit. Even Kelly, who I doubted at the beginning, I did. She brought it round. She's like working with parents. I'm like, I love it. I really do. I have no problem. How great is this? We found a school district. We actually found a school district that is doing equity right. I hope this is a white pill for everyone. I hope that this proves that the Schools Exposed program is not actually just about nitpicking every single school to death. It is not about it. I have no problem with what the Rochester, New York School District is doing. None whatsoever. I feel completely comfortable that there are sane people involved that are on the case, that want good things, that are just trying to do the right thing and make things equal. They're talking about, they may not know this, but they're talking about equality and not equity. Rochester, thank you, Rochester. Thank you. I have been in this game for 2.5 years. I have looked at so many school districts. I have watched so many videos. I have watched so much garbage. I really didn't, I truly and really didn't think there was sanity in the world any longer, and now I do believe there is sanity, and I might reach out to Nicole. I'm going to send Nicole a thank you note. I'm be like, Nicole, you don't know me, but I really appreciate that you exist, and I really appreciate that you're doing what you're doing, and you might think I'm your enemy, but I'm not your enemy. I'm cheering you on. I am cheering you on. I'm cheering Renee on. I'm cheering Kelly on. Those women need to rail this. I really, really hope they rein it in. Howard was getting a little tricky. Fred was, it's just like, I have faith. I do. And guys, this is what the Schools Exposed program is about, because sometimes, like I told you, I keep telling you this, we're going to find schools that are doing it right. Rochester, New York is doing it correctly. And now the parents of Rochester can breathe a sigh of relief. They're like, "Oh my God, my kids aren't learning nonsense." Okay. Yeah, okay, we're gonna look at Terrytown at some point. Okay, it's on the list. Don't worry, bot, okay? But like for right now, I just want to relax that we found one. We found a good one. And I'm deeply appreciative of that. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the show tonight, please mount that like button on your way out the door. Please, if you have not yet made a gift to the Schools Exposed program, even though we're fully funded, there are still lots of awesome perks you can get. You can get early access to the program. You can get one of the 50 slots that are available for $50 getting into the program. It's going to be $99 when I launch. It's $50 for only those 50 slots. Like 18 of them have been taken already. You can get access for you and a scholarship for someone else for $90. You can get a signed copy of my book for $100 and early access to the program. You can get a private training with me. You can get me looking into your school district. And at the very top, I will even knit you a shawl. I never sell my shawls. I never do it because I don't want knitting to be a job. I want it to be something I do for fun. But I have a limited number of slots available where I will literally knit you the custom shawl of your dreams. And that is all available on the Schools Exposed program. The link is at the top of the chat. You can get there by going to unwokearmy.com/parents. You can go there following the link in the description. Whatever's clever for you, I really appreciate it. And if you're not game for supporting that because you don't trust Indiegogo or something, you can head over to activelyunwoke.com/support. You can get the t-shirt that Matt Walsh does not want you to get. Matt Walsh really doesn't want you to get this red pill, this Mad Hatter giving the red pill t-shirt for $25 a month. You can sign up for that if you want to. You don't have to. You can also sign up for a membership in my locals, $5 a month, $50 a year. You can sign up for a paid membership on my Substack, $5 a month, $50 a year. All of this allows me to do this stuff with you guys. I really appreciate the support. And that's all I have for right now. I'm going to go relax and revel in the fact that we found a good one. We did. I can't believe it. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.